Tell you a little bit about what these players have in common. They were both born in the year 1987. Nana Dzagnidze, a couple of months older than Humpy Koneru. They're both 35 years old. They've both had quite long careers, you know, emerging as very young players at the top of the chess scene. Another thing they have in common, they're both world champions. Nana Dzagnidze, a world Blitz champion. Humpy Koneru, a world rapid champion. I mean, wow. So that's quite some titles they have between them. And obviously they're the leaders of their national teams. I think we're going to be seeing them in India competing later this month. And very close in terms of peak rating as well. You know, Humpy Koneru was the second female player after Judit Polgar to cross 2,600 as a, you know, teenage player. And Nana Dzagnidze's top rating has been like 2570. So that is pretty close. You know, they've been in the top of the women's rankings for over a decade.
Yeah, that's incredibly impressive by both players. So far, I believe that Humpy became a grandmaster at age 15. So that's also a really impressive performance for her achievement in her life. So yeah, let's have a look at the bracket of this tournament, because last match was between Valentina Gunina and Elizabeth Petz, which Valentina won very convincingly in an incredibly fashion style. So that was a really impressive matchup. But today we will see who is going to be the winner between Nana Dzagnidze and Humpy Koneru, because the winner will be facing Katerina Lagno in the next round.
Yeah, another world Blitz champion. Definitely that's going to be an exciting matchup. And, you know, we're still in the top 16, Anna Maya. So we're still in the first rounds of matches. It's not going to be over with this match. There's going to be a few more coming up tomorrow, the day after. So we've got a lot to look forward to. But I mean, it's for a first round match, I really got to say that Dzagnidze versus Koneru is like, it's, you know, neither of these ladies got lucky, I think, you know, because it's that close. So let's see what Smarter Chess Stats has to say about what we can expect for today. So Dzagnidze, yeah, played a lot more games on chess.com compared to Humpy. So Humpy's apparently not so much of an online Blitz player. She has a 19% win by flag versus Koneru's very close, 22%, and losses by flag. But, you know, I would say Humpy has quite a small sample size of 90 games here.
Right, and what is concerning me a little bit is a 63% losses by flag by Nana Dzagnidze. That is quite a big percentage, and I mean, obviously, in the Speed Chess Championship, you need to be really fast. The games are going really quickly, and you have this 1 second increment. It might mean that she won't flag, but it might also mean that she will in fact flag. So we'll have to see how the games develop, because this stat is slightly worrying, obviously.
Yeah, you know, I have to say, you know, both of these players are quite strong. You know, I don't know how much they specialize in the, you know, faster time controls with the 1 second increment, but I mean, I definitely expect some high level chess for them, especially in the 5 minutes. So let's take a look at the Smarter Chess Stats by chessgoals.com. So Nana's stats look a little bit better, though they're pretty close in bullets. They're expected to tie the 5+1 version.
Yeah, so it looks like Smarter Chess is predicting a win for Nana, but not by a big margin, which makes obviously a lot of sense because the players this matchup is extremely close. But I'm really looking forward to see if Smarter Chess is right this time. So far we had one match that the Smarter Chess prediction was actually really close. And all the other times it was a bit, not completely right. So let's see if Smarter Chess is right today.
I have a little fun question for our audience. When was the first game played between Koneru and Nana Dzagnidze? You would not believe this, guys. I mean, just to talk about history. I said these players have been around for a long time, at the top of their game, leading their national teams for a long time, but it is actually pretty crazy when they played their first game against each other.
Can I make a guess?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think they faced each other when they were 10, so I would go for 1997.
Very good, Anamaya. Exactly, 1997, which was actually, yeah, it was actually a year before I played Humpy, my first game in 1998. Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah, I was thinking in the European or world, obviously world championship in this case, but you typically face each other in those tournaments, so that's why I was like, they must have faced each other when they were 10 in the world championship.
Championship under 10. And you know what's really interesting? Actually, I played in this tournament.
Really?
This was 1997. Yeah, I played in Cannes 1997, and of course I don't remember them because they were playing in like a younger section. They were playing. I must have been playing under 14. I'm a few years older, so I probably wasn't paying a lot of attention to the under 10 section. But both of these players from that time on, they were really they were always doing very well in the World Youth Championships, and they became like top players.
Wow, that's really awesome. This is a really nice history question, and I'm glad that I have it correct. But the game has actually started. The first game has started. So for those who don't know, the Speed Chess Championship has a very interesting format where we have, I believe, 90 minutes. Yeah, 90 minutes of 5+1. Then we'll continue with 1 hour of 3+1, and then finally we'll have 30 minutes of 1+1. So there's a lot of chess today, a lot of games between those ladies, and this is the first game of the 5+1. So let's see how this started. It started with the Queen's Gambit, but then the first move was C4. Yeah,
it's a Rogozin system. Both of these players are D4 players who can obviously steer off into C4 or Knight F3 on the first move. Like, one thing they have in common is that neither of them plays E4. So I would be really shocked if we saw any E4 today, which is, a little too bad because, we're missing some chance to get sharper games. But they're both D4 players. So they have that in common. And this was a Rogozin system, a pretty common line. And one thing with Humpy, she's very solid in her black repertoire. I've had to prepare for her a number of times. And, she's predictable with what she does, but she's well prepared, and she definitely has experience in her lines.
Yeah, absolutely. She's already ahead on the clock by a little bit. But so far, it seems like a very simple position. I mean, E5 has been played, a very logical move. But should White be concerned after, D5? I was thinking that if D5 would have been played, okay, I cannot go back just yet. But if D5 would have been played, that pawn D5 would have been vulnerable. So I think capturing on E5 is making a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, in these positions, I was just going to say, there's a very interesting move F4. She just put it on the board. It's a very ambitious move, quite typical. Reminds me of an old Botvinnik game. Actually, I can't remember who he played, but definitely this idea is known where you're forced black to take on C3. You give white these beautiful bishops, then you try to like control the e4 square with your knight. So I suppose we will be seeing rook e8 like right now, as it is the most natural move. Could there be anything else? I mean, there's going to be a pawn sack. There isn't there? Like rook e8 just castles, and white will be giving up that e3 pawn.
I was going to ask, can you just castle and just drop the pawn and enjoy the beauty of the bishop pair? I mean, bishop on c4, bishop on c3, they're on a very beautiful places. So knight g4 hasn't been played instead. I actually like that move. It kind of forces you to defend the pawn, which you actually don't really want to.
Okay, so definitely, I mean, what can I say about this position? It's sharp, right? That's the good thing for us. Like, it's definitely not like a quiet position. Black is going for the initiative. If they don't succeed in creating it, then white will be better. So black is probably going to think about ideas like queen e7 followed by c5. C5 is definitely a major idea. You could almost do it now, like c5, bishop c5, queen a5, but then there's b4. So white saves the bishop.
Right.
I don't think you're ready to sack on e3 just yet, because after bishop e3, white can always go king f2 to protect the bishop. But yeah, this is a position where black, I mean, like basically everything is going to go down in the next few moves.
Exactly. So c5 has been played. She's sacrificing the pawn after bishop takes c5 now. Queen a5 can simply be met by b4. So she just goes for rook e8. Okay.
I find that very interesting. So like, why did she have to start by sacking the pawn, and she couldn't just continue with rook e8, right? That's it's a little surprising that she decided to, like, I mean, maybe she just wants the c file opened for sure. I don't know. That was an interesting decision by Humpy.
Yeah, absolutely. Perhaps, I mean, I'm wondering where this bishop on c8 will go, because it doesn't really have access to many squares, and perhaps you want to play bishop d7, bishop c6, but I feel like in this situation it's a bit too slow, and you kind of want to have like fast moves. You want to have fast development, and especially now that you're down a pawn. I mean, okay, maybe that you win this pawn e3 back somehow, but you need some action to prove that, you know, this pawn sacrifice was actually worth it. Maybe she'll follow it up with b6.
They're both quite close on the clock, so they have like spent half of their time just to get to this position, which means that they don't have a lot to navigate the complexity coming up. And Nana is thinking, right? So okay, let's see what she's thinking about. If she castles, okay, she did.
Okay.
Knight e3, so bishop takes, rook takes. She still looks to have some initiative here, actually. I mean, black's pieces aren't very well developed. Rook a d1, okay, f5 also possible, but maybe there's queen d4, but actually black is going to suffer here. I mean, that development doesn't seem very promising, I think. I mean, I don't know. I see the computer bar is showing this is equal, but it's like, it doesn't feel equal at all.
Yeah, it's really difficult to see where why black is going to develop to. Like, where is this bishop going to? Maybe like you'll have to play a move like b5 or something to get the queen to b6 and bishop to b7 real fast. But
maybe this is it, Anamaya. b5, bishop b5, queen b6, right? Like that could be a really important tactical idea, because she needs to get that bishop out to b7. So I really like b5. I mean, it seems like the kind of move she needs to think about pronto.
Yeah, so they're spending quite some time, actually. I mean, they do have quite the time because it's 5+1, but as we progress, obviously the time goes down as well.
Queen f6.
Yeah,
not a fan of that move. I mean, I feel like it doesn't do quite enough. Like it would have been interesting to consider that b5 move, but like rook a d1 is just sort of the obvious move. She needs to stop bishop d7, bishop c6, right? She doesn't want to let black develop. So how is black going to develop? Is she going to go b6? But maybe b6, bishop b7.
Yeah, that seems logical. Maybe you can still play b5, but I think it will be less powerful now that the rook is developed to d1. But the idea is still there.
Yeah, well, it's a lot worse when, rook d8 mate is being threatened, right? Yeah. I definitely didn't like that queen move, because now you basically can't move the queen at all because of f6. And I just don't see how she's really getting things together. And both players have played pretty slowly, I have to say, in this game, which, you know, first of all, they're not like, let's say, the natural Blitz players of Gunina. Let's say that. I mean, you know, I mean, I wouldn't say that they got quite the same like Blitz affinity sort of as like Gunina or Kastinyuk, you know. But despite the fact that, you know, Nana Dzagnidze has been a world Blitz champion, right? So, I mean, you don't get that by accident. But I mean, I think online play is a little bit different, right, from over the board.
Yeah, exactly. I think so too. It's still like you switch from 3D to 2D, and I feel like the games are also like very like fast paced here. Like I feel like when you play over the board, you still have like a lot of control over the board. But other than that, like in online chess, like you don't really have that same feeling or something.
Yeah. Like they're playing incredibly slowly. Like you can just tell this game has been like them trying to find the perfect moves. And I mean, I'm just saying like for 21 moves, they're basically under a minute. Like that is really slow.
It is.
Yeah, it's really slow, guys. Like it's a very leisurely tempo we got here. But I think it's like the first round game, right? Like they're just trying to get into it and, you know, feel their way into the match.
Yeah, perhaps this rook will be developed through a5 and you can put pressure on this pawn on f5, but white is so actively plays with their pieces. I mean, rook d6 is crushing now, and this bishop, I'm not sure where this bishop is heading to. Yeah,
so what do they have? Both at around half a minute mark, so it's about to get really random. And like, why is she still thinking, right? Like she doesn't want to take the pawn on b6 or f6. She
doesn't want to lose a pawn. It would have been funny if rook g6 and f6 would have happened. Then it would have been pretty cute.
Yeah, no, f6 is a good move, actually.
Yeah, it is.
Can't really say anything about it. It looks really nice.
Perhaps you can ignore it and play bishop e6.
Yeah, black is experiencing some big problems here, but she plays bishop e6, so she goes into a rook end game, and now we're going to see Humpy's skills in the rook end game. Obviously, the most common end game in chess. Will it be enough? Now, if the rook captures on b3, then rook a2 is going to happen, and then rook e2. But if a takes, you get like double pawn. So rook a2 definitely going to happen.
Yeah, and rook e2 is going to happen as well. So this might just end in a draw regardless, because black has a lot of counterplay now.
Yeah, yeah. Rook f2. Oh, wow. Rook b1. Huh. Rook a7. And so right now they are going to have equal material. Are they going to repeat moves? I think they will. Because
looks like it.
Nana plays on. Wow. That's exciting. b5, but she has no advantage. That's the thing. f6, like she's trying to flag Humpy, maybe thinking she's like the faster player, but she doesn't have any advantage. So let's see if Humpy can keep her cool here. She actually has a more passive rook now. Actually, Nana was right, because the rook on a6 is really bad, and actually she has good chances to win. But
she got a pawn now, so that counts for something. Oh, g4 now.
Ooh, okay. Now white is just on their way to winning. Wow, nice call by Nana.
Oh, wow. And now she can play rook h7 if king e6. Oh, she goes for rook b6
She's just gonna, okay. She can't put the king on f5. Oh, okay. Actually,
surely she's gonna play something else. Okay, she does.
Yeah, actually, there's still chances here for black.
Oh, absolutely. Anything can still happen. Oh, where's this king going? King h4, you have to play.
Oh, take the pawn. Take the pawn and go king f7. Draw. King g8 is a draw.
F5.
This is a well-known position where the 2-on-1 doesn't win. Nana gave up the pawn. Nice, nice save there by Humpy.
Wow. And that goes to show how tricky Rook End games are. Like, it seems so winning with the passed pawn, but just one small mistake and it's over. This looks like it feels like you're winning because you have this passed pawn on h5, but you're just simply not able to push it. The king on f7 was way too close to that pawn.
Yeah, I've had to save some end games like that, but also like the rook on g6 is quite badly placed in this position. Like it was just trapped, wasn't it? It couldn't even get out.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. So Humpy's going in for her like sidelines. Yeah, I mentioned that apart from playing the main lines with d4, like both of these players can veer into these branches of that d4 players tend to learn, like c4 or knight f3, and so there goes Humpy, and they're getting out of theory. So I think she's played this actually since her childhood. She definitely has experience in these sidelines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so now e3. So white has a really simple setup. Knight c3 is obviously very logical. White can decide whether to play d4, yes or no. You can play either bishop d3 to put the bishop on c2 or directly bishop e2, and then simply castle at some point. So very simple setup for white. For black, you have a lot of options, but I have to say that it's sometimes a little bit difficult in these type of structures to put your pieces on the right places and like gain some space advantage, because this bishop on b7 will always be facing this pawn on d5, but perhaps d takes c4 could happen, but there's many different options still possible.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the pawn structure is unresolved and it could sort of evolve in many different ways. Will black play c5 around here? I mean, I would think so. That's kind of a normal place to put the pawn. I mean, white will castle now because it's sort of an obvious move. But, you know, both players, again, kind of taking their time, right? Like half a minute is actually quite a bit to just make these natural developing moves. Okay, 6, but it's going in like a very typical way.
Yeah, I remember if I would be playing like the first 10 moves and I would spend more than like a minute on the clock, I would like get complaints by my coach, like, why are you spending so much time on your moves? And just really like logical moves. And like, I keep hesitating myself. So seeing those very strong players also spend quite some time in the opening, it gives me like, you know, a bit of a comfortable feeling.
It's very interesting, Anamaya, like white is like thinking over d4 here. Should I push the pawn or not, right? That's the big question. I mean, yeah. I feel like she has to, like at some point. I mean, okay, black castles and like, now what, right? Are you really not gonna push your pawn to d4? I have a hard time believing that, but she's still delaying it, you know, interestingly. I don't know. It's a strange moment, that definitely.
Yeah, I mean, now after queen c2, I feel like there's not much reason to postpone d4 anymore, because I can imagine that she doesn't want to play d4 because knight e4 could be a move and then black could gain some space advantage. So I guess that could be the reasoning behind it, but still, like, yeah.
I think she's going to play queen e7. I think they're going to keep in that style of like not doing anything in the center, but she didn't. She took on c4. bc4 is kind of obvious, right? And then she will go c5. I mean, you got to go c5 here.
Right, c5. And yeah, this is a very interesting pawn structure. I mean, this pawn e2 is very lonely, and this could become a weakness in the long run. But yeah, there is not much action in the center when it comes to the pawns anymore. I mean, are we still gonna see d4? I would say no, because then the pawn on c4 would become a huge weakness. So yeah, it's hard to say.
Black's
where
position is definitely fine here. By the way, in our chat, we're having discussions about like what record did she break. It says she beat Judit Polgar's record. Well, actually, so they're talking about Humpy Koneru, and the record is not top 10 in the world, which she did not achieve, but she did become the youngest female to become a grandmaster after Judit Polgar at like 15 years and like something like 1 month, something like that. So that was the record that she broke, which is very impressive. Yeah, she was, you know, before Hao Yifan came along, Humpy Koneru was like, you know, the second strongest female player behind Judit Polgar.
Yeah, so yeah, she became grandmaster at a very young age of 15 years, so that's really impressive. And Nana also became grandmaster at like I mean, relatively young age. I believe she was 20 or 21 years old.
Yeah, that's right, in 2008. Yeah,
right. Yeah.
And look at what's going on in their game. So they're not going in for this like hand-to-hand battle in the center. White refrained from playing d4, and that's why, you know, nothing is really going on yet, because there's no contact between the pawns. There's not really any open lines, and we're still very much in kind of like maneuvering phase. And of course, you know, I think, you know, Nana can be more satisfied from the opening than Humpy can.
Absolutely. If you are able to have this bishop on b7 at like have some open diagonal over here, you should be more than happy, because typically there's a pawn d5 stuck. You don't want to trade it off or something like that. And typically there's also like a pawn d4 blocking it. So in this position, I would happily take the black pieces. So this is I wouldn't say like a dream scenario, but like it's something that you could be very satisfied with.
Yeah, it's a good scenario. Like, for example, like the aggressive looking move here, f4. I mean, it doesn't really do anything. Like, your rook is not an f1, you know, the bishop on b7 pointing at your king. Like, you're not really in a position to attack with like f4 and e4, because, you know, you go f4, the bishop moves, you go e4, you hang your pawn in f4. So you don't have that idea. Knight a4 makes some sense. Bishop c7, again, I don't really see the problem. I guess bishop c3, even bishop a8. Like, if she's planning to attack the b6 pawn, I think black has a lot of resources to defend that. Knight d7 is a move. See, bishop f1 is showing that Humpy's in a defensive crouch now. She's definitely not that optimistic about her position.
Yeah, for some reason, I mean, in the last game we had a similar kind of situation where she was playing very passively. So yeah, she's allowing Nana to have like a very nice position. And yeah, those bishops, again, the bishop pair looking right directly to the king. So yeah, it's a bit hard to see how Nana can make use of this small advantage, but perhaps she could even consider pushing the pawns on the queen side and gain an advantage there. But the pawn on c5 is something you need to be careful with. So perhaps the move knight d7, as you mentioned, would be a move to consider.
Yeah, I mean, one thing with Humpy, she has definitely a good sense of danger. So, I mean, Humpy knows that she's not doing great in this position. And it's interesting, she just played f4. Well, that's a risky move to play when your knight is on a4, right? Like when you're initiating play on the other part of the board from where some of your pieces are. I have a feeling like this, I mean, from what I'm seeing, like black is going to win this game, and Nana is good. She's a good attacker. And she's an aggressive player. They actually, in a way, they have a lot of similarities, but fundamentally their styles are different, right? Humpy is like a stronger positional player. Nana is better on the attack and the dynamics.
Yeah, it looks like Humpy just blundered the pawn, as after e takes f4, there's queen e3 check, and it looks like Nana is able to capture this pawn f4.
Yeah, I mean, that whole knight a4 move I really didn't like, because it just didn't look like we were getting anywhere with that. And so now she just retreated it, and now she's making a pawn sack in order to try to play knight d5. I mean, you know, not a bad idea given the circumstances, right? But like, if you look at the clock, I mean, how are they actually doing on the clock? It looks like Humpy has very little time, right?
Yeah, they both have 1 minute on the clock, so they spend quite a lot of time, both of them, which is quite interesting, because at this pace you'd expect someone to be like ahead by a lot of time, but both players are spending like similar amount of time, like they're catching up with each other, and this might hurt in the long run, because if you don't like play your moves really quickly, once we go to the even shorter time controls, then there will be a lot of problems for the players.
Yeah, so one of our viewers says, I never hear, oh, he kept the knight pair. Are bishops preferred over knights in the overall? Yeah, bishops are preferred over knights because they're longer range pieces, so they're more kind of able to cover more of the board faster, right? Like similar to the queens or the rooks. And knights are, you know, they need time to maneuver around. So in a lot of positions, especially open positions, knights are less powerful. All right, let's see this. This is getting exciting. Humpy going on the attack with a pawn sack back, f3 to open the diagonal. And is she going to play queen e5 next? I think so.
Looks like it. She played f3 to open up the bishop, and queen e5 looks very logical now. But I think she might be concerned that after bishop takes h5, after bishop takes h5, yeah, the attack would die down, because you really need this knight in this position.
But knight d5, I mean, absolutely begging to be played. I'm not so sure that black's attack is crashing through. I mean, king h1, I don't even see, oh, king h1, queen g3, but then there's e5, right? I mean, I don't know. Then there's knight h3. Wow. Queen G3 is definitely going to happen, 100%.
Maybe you take
100.
now on H3 first.
Oh, yeah, maybe. But Queen G3 is the natural move, you know? And now the thing is E5, Knight H3. That's the
now you take
annoying blow. But actually, still not quite over, but it's a bad endgame for white after Knight H3. Pawn takes Queen F3. Okay. She went
you simply take the pawn on D5. That's also very reasonable. Getting rid of the pawns in the center. Yeah. I mean, they looked really scary on D5 and E5.
Yeah. Well, black is now up a pawn with a great position. Slowed down the attack a little bit, actually. So that's a good news for white. But they got seconds, right?
Yeah, they got seconds on the clock, so they need to speed up really big time over here. And now after rook, there's a rook hanging and checkmate even. I didn't even see the checkmate. Wow.
Yeah, Humpy not happy with that game. She's gonna have to get more from the opening because, like I said, Nana, she's an aggressive player. She will attack, and she, you can see that aggression even in the first game, in the end game, in the equal end game. She played for a win, was very close to winning. So right now, Nana has an edge, and in general, by the way, I would give her an edge in the Blitz because Humpy, she's the world rapid champion. And she's not, by the way, bad in Blitz. I was looking at their results from the World's Blitz Championship, the over-the-board tournament. Humpy was 4th and Nana was 8th. So both very good results. You know, it's a very competitive field. That was the one that was won by Asobayeva in 2021, who's also competing in this chess.com Women's Speed Chess Championship. So, you know, Humpy's not a bad Blitz player, but somehow I feel like I do give Nana the edge. Humpy's, her strength is more in rapid, you know, she needs a bit more time to establish control over the board.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like the players need to play a lot faster in their games now because we ended up in the time trouble situation in the last game, and the game ended very quickly. So like if one of the players speeds up, they will benefit so much from that because the opponent is taking so much time. And like it feels like they're kind of like catching up with each other for the time being. Which is not a really bad thing, but if that means that you'll be playing on seconds for the rest of the game, which is like from move 30 onwards, then you will have a problem. You'll not be happy with how things go in the long run.
Yeah, this position so far looking reasonable for Humpy, right? It's like a very typical Queen's Gambit-y type of position. Queen's Gambit accepted. Okay, some differences. The black bishop on b4 is a bit unusual. Black needs to play this move c5. How about a3 here? Will white just collect the bishop? And if black, whoa, a4.
Okay.
It's interesting. I don't think I would have, I mean, I don't know if I would have thought about that move first. Like a3 was jumping to my mind. And trading these pawns, like how much benefit do you really get from the a file? I'm not sure. Rook a4, you know, pawn a5 looks normal. Pawn c5 looks normal.
Yeah, you can always play a5, and that strengthens the position of this bishop on b4. So I would say, like, instead of a4, a3 made a lot of sense previously. So yeah, instead a4 was played, and now this bishop on b4 seems really strong.
Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of position that can liquidate pretty quickly, right? Because there's lots of pawn trades coming, and we might just have, you know, the d4 pawn traded for the c pawn, and she needs to think how she's going to keep this game alive. I guess there is an idea here, like rook a4, c5, knight a2, trying to like go after this bishop is a slightly unusual move. But of course, unusual moves often don't work, you know, so you have to calculate that. But this didn't happen. A5 happened by Humpy, very natural move. And that's what I mean. Like, I don't really know what white got. And I see that Dzagnidze doesn't know either because she just moved her rook back.
Yeah, so I have a feeling that Nana was worried that the rook on a4 would have been trapped. Especially after knight a2. So I guess it makes sense that she's going for this line. And instead, now the bishop on b4 is actually really interesting because it has a really nice position, but it's also trapped. So I have a feeling that's why Nana is trying to avoid this bishop on b4 by playing knight a4 and not allowing the bishop to be able to capture anything on the diagonal.
Yeah, so after queen d4, what can black do? I guess queen e7 is a really obvious move. Start bringing those rooks into the center. Yeah, I mean, black is solid. One important thing, guys, that you want to pay attention to when judging a position is, are there bad pieces on the board, right? And the answer to that is no. Black has not a single bad piece. Bishops are open, knights in the center, rooks connected. There's also no problems of space, obviously, because, you know, the whole center has been liquidated. So if you have no problems with space, no bad pieces, and a safe king, I mean, how can your position be worse, right?
Mm-hmm. True.
Yeah, simple guide. Irina's simple guide to evaluating a position. You know, those three things. Just look for that.
Yeah, from now on, the Chad will never lose the game again, right, Chad? We know everything we need to do now in our games.
Yeah.
We just need to stick to it.
Arun is asking me if I have ever visited India, or will this be my first tournament in India? I actually visited India 3 times before, but it's been a really long time. I had a set of years where I went there like every couple of years, from 1998. My first World Junior Championship in Calicut. It's in the state of Kerala. Then I played the World Championship Knockout Tournament in New Delhi in 2000, and in 2002, the World Cup in Hyderabad. So I was really going to India quite frequently in those years, and I was very happy about that because I enjoyed my trips to India. And, you know, it's been 20 years now, and I'm happy to be going back, and I'll be doing some sightseeing after the Olympiad. I'll be spending a week in Kerala.
Oh, that sounds exciting.
Yeah, if you guys want to give me some, if we have Indian viewers, you know, from Kerala who want to give me some tips on what to see there. I mean, I guess I'll do, you know, the tours of the backwaters and all of that typical stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting because I'm going to the same state that I visited on my very first trip on Amaya.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I've never been to India, so I'm very clueless, unfortunately. But I'd love to visit India one day.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, it's going to be like, I think, monsoon season. So, you know, maybe not ideal to visit, but, you know, you got to take what you can get because you don't fly over to India every day.
Right. Yeah. It's especially like it will be like a very long flight for you, right?
It is a long flight. I think I'm flying through Doha through Qatar. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you got to take a flight to Qatar, then do a connection to Chennai.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, once you're in Chennai, it's a pretty short domestic flight over to Cochin on the southwest side of India. You're basically going from southeast to southwest. And
okay.
Yeah, you know, my plans actually, I was thinking of visiting Sri Lanka because I was like, wow, Chennai is like just a stone's throw away from this, you know, beautiful island. But unfortunately, you know, this year they've had a lot of unrest, really difficult situation economically, no fuel, you know, people, private transportation can't get any fuel, you know, riots, protests. And I mean, well, you know, you can't visit a country in that state, you know, so unfortunately we'll be missing that. Yeah, I know, right? So Netherlands is not the only place having protests.
Oh no.
Yeah,
it's pretty wild.
Burning the politicians' cars, you know, because anyway, it's a quite interesting situation. I mean, if you guys are interested in how to destroy a country, you might want to take a look at that model. Sri Lanka, you know, it's very sad, right? But anyway, that's why my travel plans changed and going to the west coast of India.
Wow, it sounds super exciting. Wish you lots of. I hope you can have a lot of fun in advance.
It's Kerala. Is that right? Am I saying that right, Guitar Guide? Kerala, because I never knew that. That's right.
Man, pronouncing things is it's hard to pronounce a lot of names. So
yeah, I agree. We wish we could see more than Nana's forehead. Now, okay, guys, we haven't said anything about this game in a while. It's just been quite, you know, equal for a long time. But looks like now Nana is taking the edge again. She just won a pawn. That's crazy.
Yeah, suddenly the pieces traded off, and it seems very difficult for Humpy to win the pawn back, because you typically would go for either bishop b4 or bishop b6. But after bishop b6, you'll simply play bishop c3. Oh, you can just play b4, obviously. You just play b4 and you're fine. And yeah, after bishop b4, there was the knight c6, so it's not so easy here for Humpy. Now after b4, this knight is just not moving. I mean, you're not getting close to the pawn like this.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems pretty winning for white, and it's going to be definitely, ooh, that's an unpleasant move. Although I see the engine bar doesn't like it, but it feels like quite logical. And isn't the pawn? Oh, you can't go b5 yet, so you need to, I don't know, f3, king f2. There you go. We're on the same wavelength with Nana.
Yeah, bishop d4 seemed really logical to me as well, and perhaps the knight c4 could have been considered somewhere around that position with the pawn d5. If that would end up on c4, you would get really close to promoting. So maybe that was a bit concerning, but yeah, now the king is just getting closer to the pawn on b4, and the pawn will be able to push sooner or later.
Yeah, and so Nana has 24 seconds, Humpy 30. Humpy obviously is quite disgusted. I mean, so far, she really has not a lot to be happy about here. You know, Anamaya, like she even like this type of equal position that she's had in this game, like that's, you know, that's usually not the kind of thing she loses. So I think it is pretty crazy that we're seeing Humpy get in trouble from such an equal looking position where there was literally like nothing going on, and then for some reason she got herself like an isolated pawn in the center, and yeah, she like missed a little dynamics, you know, and then suddenly she lost the pawn. Right, it was just like tactical blunder.
Yeah, and actually, where you're talking about what happened, it seems like Humpy is back in the game now, because this pawn on c4, it's and well, the pawn on b4 is not going anywhere, and the pawn on c4 is really safe over there. So it looks like this game will end in a draw anyways.
Yeah, amazing, right? I mean, like best case scenario for a bishop end game, white's pawn is stuck on b4. You can't use it. Bishop is excellent. It is going to be a repetition. Well, I think for us, this is better, Anamaya, because we want the match to be close. And, you know, if Nana wins this one, it would be like 2.5 sort of route to start the match. And I think, you know, 2-1 is a little bit more acceptable, but definitely it's been Nana's match so far.
Absolutely. Nana has been doing really well, and Humpy is struggling to like get a like nice position, especially from the opening, and like later on, it's Nana that she has this really nice position every single time, and then I mean things happen in time trouble, so it makes sense that those games like end in a draw. But we'd love to see more of Humpy from this game onwards, because I mean, we all know what she's capable of, but it's this Blitz format is, yeah, she hasn't been doing very well so far.
Yeah, this is funny because in the first game, so Nana was on the white side of this, right? And now Humpy is on the white side of this exact opening. This is so funny. This is because, you know, they have similar opening repertoires, and the Rogozin features in both of them for black. So, okay, the only difference is Humpy played without bishop d2. She goes for queen c2, knight a5. All right, so I don't know. This is some kind of new recent move that does look kind of familiar, this strange knight a5 move.
Right, yeah, it's putting pressure on the pawn on c4, and also preparing moves like c5 to attack in the center. So I actually like this move quite a lot. Yeah.
C5, right? This looks super familiar. Has Ding been playing this? I feel like, did we see this in the candidates? Is this the game? Is this the game Ding Caruana? Because it's starting to look very familiar, doesn't it? I mean, like, because Caruana, I think Caruana is the one who played this move. That's what I remember, because then there was like B6, there was an opening of the C file, and Ding controlled it, and like Caruana got like a very precise draw. So I think that this has definitely been seen before.
Yeah, you might be right. My memory is failing to recognize this and remember it, but I think you're absolutely right. So that'll be very interesting. But so far, the players have spent once again quite a lot of time. So yeah, they just need to like take some risks sometimes. Like this time is like such a big factor in this match, and yeah, you might want to have like a slightly worse position, but be up on the clock by 1 or 2 minutes because those minutes are gonna like count so much towards the end.
Yeah, and just to answer question by Natalie Dragon, when am I going to head to India on July 25th? And am I going ahead of time for the Olympiad? I'm going actually just in time for the Olympiad, really, like not a ton of time before, but my tourism part will be after the tournament, right? You don't really want to do that before the tournament. You want to focus on your tournament, and then kind of you play an event, you work hard, and then you give yourself like a reward by doing some sightseeing at the end. That's the way I like to do it. I've also done that, by the way, it's a little bit of a tradition for me. Like I did that type of trip after the Olympiad in Baku in Azerbaijan in 2016.
Really?
I did that also after the 2012 Olympiad. Like I had some nice trips tacked on to the end of those tournaments.
Oh wow, that's awesome! Yeah, I was also in Baku, so that was I didn't really have like a big trip or anything like that, but it was awesome to visit Baku.
Yeah, it was definitely, I loved it. I loved the whole Caucasus region, Georgia, Armenia, Azerbaijan, and like the food is amazing.
Really beautiful.
Beautiful, very old, historic, lots of historic sites. Old towns and the city centers are like nice. So yeah, I'm a fan of that region.
Yeah, it's really awesome. So yeah, paying a visit, I mean, having a trip over there is absolutely amazing.
Let's take a look at what's going on in this position so far.
Yeah.
Let's see.
So I guess queen e7 would make sense now to attack, but then the d5 pawn will drop as well. But I guess that will be an okay trade for black.
So white is up a pawn here, yeah? White's up a pawn, and black needs counterplay, right? White has no real development. So Nana is looking for counterplay. So what ideas could she come up with? Queen h4 doesn't really work because of g3. F6, I mean, probably not. I mean, just take it. So this is quite an important moment for Nana, like queen e7, b4, but that kind of, maybe then you go b6, pawn takes, a takes, and then go for c5.
Right.
Stacking the d5 pawn along the way.
Yeah, it's trying to push c5.
Yeah, it's definitely not like trivial for black at this moment. How much time does black have? Oh, she has two
minutes and 10 seconds. Yeah.
Okay, so this is definitely going to be a challenging game, I think, for both sides. But I think right now the ball is really in Nana's court, right? Because she's down a pawn, and she's the one who needs to find compensation. Like White's moves are obvious; they're going to go, bishop b2 or bishop d3, castles, b4, bishop b2. Like it's very clear what White wants here. What black wants is a bit of a question. Now she could go b6.
Maybe I like this move, b6.
b6, so after pawn takes, a takes, and just go for c5, and then get the center, try to get the e5 pawn back. Maybe I would just do that.
b6 looks very logical, and you need to start finding some counterplay, as you said. So the only way I see that happening is by playing b6, but instead she plays f6, which also makes a lot of sense.
Surprises me. F3, because F3. There's no queen h4, right? Like, so she kind of went for that trade. Okay, so she wants to threaten like rook takes f3, but just bishop b2. Like, what is she really doing?
Yeah, bishop b2 and everything is defended.
Yeah, I didn't really, the move was typical enough, but she just basically traded off that doubled pawn, and I don't think she's getting enough here. And Humpy has time, right? So she can think as long as she wants. I mean, is there any point in going bishop d3 and provoking rook f3? I mean, you'd still have h4 there, but I guess she just doesn't need adventures like that.
Maybe it was possible to play that line actually with bishop takes h7. So just to show the audience real quick that after bishop d3, rook takes f3, maybe there was a move queen h4. Because, well, maybe it doesn't really do much right now, but the idea is to play bishop takes h7. I thought it was cool, but apparently it's just not threatening that much, and black should be fine.
Yeah, so after the position on the board is after bishop e2, right? So black is still thinking here is c6. Okay, so
C6
definitely,
and b4.
yeah, black has like failed in in whatever they were supposed to do. Right now they're just down a pawn, and white has the bishop pair, is going to be playing, well, castles I think should be done. I'm not sure why she's delaying it.
Yeah, I think that was the right time to castle.
You can go h4, but might as well go bishop b2, right? Maybe h4 later.
Yeah.
Castles.
Okay, she
fine.
Castles.
Yeah, so this game definitely, it's Humpy's game to take. I mean, she has a minute on the clock extra, better position, extra pawn, 2 bishops. Like if she doesn't win this one, then you know that it's like going to be tough for her in this match. So if she wins though, she's going to tie it, and it's going to feel like, oh, like anyone can take this match.
Yeah, and it's, I believe, like one of the first times so far in this match that Humpy is having such a great advantage. So she should definitely take this one. But it's not so clear yet because Nana is fighting really well, and she's not allowing it to be very easy. Because ideally you would want to play move e4 in this position. It's actually already possible. I actually didn't realize it was possible.
Queen e5, powerful move. Queen e5.
Yep.
That's the whole point, isn't it? Beautiful centralization. What now though? Bishop g5.
F6, bishop
How about
C4?
bishop g5?
Oh, bishop g5. I love that. I love that.
Pinning the rook, and the knight is pinned. I mean, that looks pretty interesting. I think that must be her idea. She's still thinking, but it's not really necessary to, I mean, I guess she could capture on e4, and actually she could have captured on e4 as well, but she just goes for that. I think it makes sense.
Yeah, and I think I mean, f6 e4 was also fine. Like there was a lot of threats in the position, but obviously this is just the killer move, and from this moment onwards it will be much easier for Humpy. And know that this time she is quite ahead on the clock, so that is also like very helpful at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, now if she takes on e4, that she can't because of rook f1, and she's not going to go for that, but she'll have to take the rook, I think, or bishop c4. Yeah, there you go. I like that move. Bishop c4 is very nice. Lots of pins going on. Those bishops are really doing their work. And now you're just going to take on f6, take on e6, trade off everything, and win technically. That is the goal.
Yeah, she doesn't even have to take the rook just yet. I mean, the rook remains pinned over there, but perhaps you need to look out for the move rook f5. That case,
yeah, she needs to just play a little faster. Like, I mean, she's down to like 20 seconds. I think she's taking her time a little too much. I mean, I don't like, her moves are good, right? No question. But is it, I mean, just play like rook f6. There you go. No, rook f6 you can't do. You're hanging.
Yeah, I guess take trade and then rook f6.
Yeah, maybe trade, or then rook f6 and then go bishop f7. I mean, rook f6 is good, and then king f2. I like king f2 here. Can you go king f2, or is e3 a problem?
I guess rook e1 works as well.
Yeah, I mean, this is fine. She just needs to trade pieces. There's really rook f4. There's nothing to think about. Knight. Yeah, she just wins the pawn. Yeah, as long as she has no time. She has no time. She really needs to hurry up. She really needs to hurry up. Like, I mean, she's got to remember that it is blitz, right? It was only 1 second increment, but it seems like she's got that knight trapped. Yeah, game over.
Yeah, okay. I mean, white was winning anyways, but yeah, it's terrifying to see that there's like so long on the clock in pretty much all of the games so far. So it might go really crazy when we move on to Bullet at the end. So I'm really looking forward to that portion of the match, honestly.
Yeah. Wow. Because they're finally going to have to speed up. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, like, I mean, I think a lot of crazy things could happen because they have to play so quickly. But I honestly believe if they would just play a little bit fast, like they would make the decisions a bit faster, a bit quicker, I think that would help them a lot, because now they just like around move 30, they're already like playing on seconds, and that's not what you want to have in this format.
Yeah. Well, but so far, I mean, they're even. And oh, Nana has adjusted her camera. That's great. So we can look forward to seeing her again. I would say that Humpy is a good fighter. That's one thing. She has character, and she is going to really like, so when she got that advantage, you could see that she wasn't in the mood to give it away. I mean, she knows she needs to win. So she's quite a good fighter like that. It's my experience with her.
Okay. Yeah, both players are really great chess players, and this match can still go anywhere. We are on 2-2, so pretty balanced so far. I mean, like I would say that Nana is doing much better, but with Humpy's last win, she's definitely like still in the match, and anything can still happen.
Can I tell you guys one more point in common that these two players have? This is an interesting one. Apparently, their last, serious tournament games were in the same tournament. And that was the 2021 World Rapid and Blitz Championship in Warsaw that actually I commentated on chess.com with Rook End. Some of you may remember. And since then, I don't see any games in the database for them, which is crazy because it's been half a year, right? It's really strange for these top players not to have any games, but like, I don't know, maybe like just a lack of tournaments. Certainly a lot of things have gone away during the pandemic. And I think the Women's Grand Prix I don't know what's happened to it. It's just sort of been postponed, or maybe it will eventually resume. And I think there was recently an announcement about the women's candidates tournaments coming up later this year. I don't think Dzagnidze is playing in that, but I think Humpy is.
I think she isn't. I believe Nana isn't playing, but I don't recall who is playing exactly, but Humpy might be playing,
Yeah, you know who I think is playing there? Definitely both of the Muzyczuk sisters, Lagno,
Alexandra Kosenyuk,
Gariachkina. Yeah, so actually, Nana Dzagnidze has played in previous candidates tournaments, but she's not playing this one. It only has 8 players in the world, and Humpy is playing in that one. So there's like, it's actually a very funny matchup there. You got like you got 3 Russian players, 2 Chinese, 2 Ukrainians, and Humpy. So like very not super diverse, makeup. There's a few countries that are very well represented in there in the women's candidates.
You typically, like, European chess women chess championship is like already like super stacked, like we have such strong players here in Europe, so I'm not surprised that the tournament is pretty much dominated by
now the European Women's Chess Championship, it hasn't happened this year yet, has it?
Not yet. It's happening in August.
Oh wow, right after the Olympiad?
Pretty much. I mean, towards the end, so pretty much, yeah.
Was the end of August. Where is it supposed to be?
It's going to be in Prague.
Nice. That's a city that I visited on my way back from an Olympiad in 2010. Oh.
Nice. Yeah, it's and actually, speaking of, I remember when I played in the 2017 European Women's Chess Championship. It's the one that Nana Dzagnidze won, so I remember that one really well. It was not a great tournament for me, but it was an amazing one for Nana. So I believe that was her first European woman title as well. I mean, she won like the classical one.
All right, so let's take a look. Again, the players are playing, I think, quite slowly, right? Because we've been like letting them play for a while. They've only made 10 moves. I think about this, guys, 10 moves of some not very sharp position. Humpy's lost half of her time. Nana's lost a minute. I mean, these players are really taking this to like a new level of like just playing leisurely chess, because you just don't normally see that like slow rate of play in the Speed Chess Championship.
Yeah, it's very unusual, and I mean, I think like if one of them would like face someone else from the field, I think like we could see like the difference very notably. But now because both of them are like using their time similarly, we're not really like seeing the effect of it as much. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I mean, definitely this game, right? I mean, because right now, so she had like 2.5 minutes, and now Nana is starting to think. And they're playing like very similar type of structures that they've had before, with Black going pawn e5. Well, I think White is a bit better, yeah, in these positions. The bishop on b3 has a lot of latent power, and by the way, when the Black pawn takes on d4, White will take with the pawn. They will actually go for the isolated pawn position, which might surprise our viewers a little bit. But the idea is, you're going to play rook e1, get the open e file, play knight e5. Your bishop on b3 has a lot of power. And the reason you can't really take with a knight is because then they just go knight c5, start challenging your bishop, and you lose all of your initiative. So Humpy is thinking here. She doesn't really want to take on d4. Pushing to e4 is a big decision because that pawn goes to a light square where it might get attacked. So she went for this. Now watch Nana. E takes d4, guys. Okay, nope. Look at that. Am I wrong? Am I seriously wrong about this? I mean, this is the way I understand chess. Is queen d4 really right? Like, there's just knight c5 here. What am I not getting? Knight c5. I mean, knight d5. Knight takes d5. I mean, I still am seriously surprised by that. If we check the engine says e takes d4, clear advantage. I mean, this is like basic stuff. Right. I mean, yeah, like, you just, yeah. All right. Well, I know I've learned a few things about chess along the way. But here we go. I mean, Humpy is just equalizing now, right? Like she is getting that bishop out, neutralizing the strong bishop on b3. I mean, I'm surprised because also Nana is a very dynamic player, right? So I thought e takes d4 was a dynamic move where White plays for that initiative with the isolated pawn.
Right. Yeah, they don't make a lot of sense. But yeah, instead we have this pretty calm position. Could still go anywhere, but it looks really calm, and it's difficult to see how either side could like attack, especially White, because I feel like Nana really like had this type of position where you like could start an attack, especially as you mentioned with the isolated pawn on d4. But now after queen takes d4, it looks really calm, and I'm starting to think we're not really watching a Blitz match, Irina.
Yeah. No, these players are taking their sweet time, leaving it all to like the seconds in the end. But I don't know. I mean, things might totally change in the next portion of the match, right? When they get to 3-1, forced to like hurry up a bit. At this position, this reminds me of some famous game. Was it Capablanca that played? I mean, there was this theme of the D file of White eventually having an edge in a queen and rook end game because of the control over the D file. Of course, in this position, there's still knights on the board, and rook d8 just looks like an equalizing move is coming up. So I would be really surprised if Nana has like something that amazing here. I mean, you don't even have queen d6, really. You can't even play queen d6 because they trade and go knight c4. Okay, this move makes sense, right? She's like the d file is actually still a theme, and I like this move. Queen takes, knight takes, rook d8, right? That's probably what will be played.
Yeah, right. Either this one or the from F to
definitely
D8.
Rook F, because you got to go king F8, king E7.
Right, that is the idea. Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. I mean, it's time to bring the king in the center. So yeah, and yeah, where could White actually play for? Because you have this knight on e5, but it's not going anywhere. Black has such a like interesting setup that it does not allow White to have any sort of access points in Black's position. So Black is eyeing on that c4 square. If the knight could get there, things could get really shaky for White. But for the time being, it's obviously really equal.
All right, I'm busy writing to our chat, Anamaya, figuring out how to send some emojis.
Also needs to be done.
Yeah, the important stuff. So she did, yeah, she brought her king over to e7. Humpy should feel pretty comfortable in this position, except she's got 20 seconds, and that's not, I don't know why she lets this happen. I mean, she's a good positional player. She had more time, and that plan was completely obvious, right? So why did she spend all that time just to bring her king to e7?
I'm not entirely sure. Like, you would almost call this like, like internet issues, but I don't think the players have internet issues. So, yeah, that's a little bit rough.
Yeah, well, Arun is asking, how many times have I placed Koneru Humpy in my career, and what's your score against her? I can try to remember, guys. I certainly remember that I lost my first game against her in 1998 when she was, I mean, I was young. I was 14, and I was playing the World Junior Championship Girls under 20. So I was like a young player in my section. But Humpy was 3 years younger than me, right? 4 years younger than me, really, almost like 3.5. Yeah, okay. So she was like 10 years old. So I lost to a 10-year-old Humpy in that tournament. That's obviously something very memorable because, I mean, I was not a bad player. I managed to win bronze in that event anyway, but losing to a 10-year-old, that's something that stays with you. So I knew from that time on that Humpy Koneru was a strong player. And I lost with the white pieces and some kind of a Queen's Indian. Could go on with the details. Yeah, it obviously was seared into my memory. So that was my first game against her. After that, she really became a lot better. I know I had some kind of short draw against her in this World Cup tournament where we both qualified from our groups. Did I play her after that? I mean, you know what? It's funny because I don't have like memories of a lot of games with Humpy. I certainly remember the last time I played her. It was in the online Nations Cup. It was a big match, USA India, and in the tie, like I drew her in the regular rapid game, and when we had to play a tiebreak with their team, I actually won a really important game and let help the USA qualify to the finals against Russia. That was last year. So that's kind of what I remember. Was there something in the meantime that I lost? Could I have lost something? It's possible, but nothing comes to my mind at the moment. But let's see what's going on here. I mean,
crazy things are happening, Irina. It's
crazy things. Humpy's got to make a move. Did she lose on time? Oh,
she
no.
lost on time. Yeah.
Oh no, Humpy. I mean, we told you got to play faster. You can't. I mean, this is the issue. Like when you're down to that 1 second increment, it's really hard to feel that increment. It just feels like nothing.
It is indeed nothing. It goes by so quickly, and I was gonna say, like, it surprises me how well they're able to like survive with the 1 second increment, because seeing like at what pace they're going through the game, I would like call it, like, as soon as they're down to like 3 seconds, I will just call the flag already, because it feels like they're not gonna be able to catch up anymore. Because if you're like, for example, when you play like a classical game, at least from my experience, when you play like such a long game, then suddenly like you have 2 minutes left on the clock, and like you have to speed up a lot to get to the 40th move. So like you have to like change your mindset so quickly, and seeing how they play, like they play the games as if they're like rapid, and then suddenly they have to play bullet, and that's like a very big switch.
So our audience is talking about my story with Koneru, Anamaya, like I still screaming about that loss to the 10-year-old. No. Thankfully, it's not that traumatizing, guys. It's just the kind of thing you remember, because it was actually a very successful tournament for me, my first medal in a World Youth Championship, and I was in a much higher like age category. And so it had taken me a while to work up to that. So it was successful, but it had that kind of hiccup along the way, something that I remembered, and she just became such a strong player after that, so Humpy looks a little unhappy. So they're again in some kind of fairly staid position, right? So their games, their openings are, let's say, like not really lending them their games to be super exciting. I would say overall, like this is not really the Gunina Pats match, which was like all over the place in terms of the opening.
Right.
At the same time, I mean, because they play so slowly, we're kind of like guaranteed some action at the end, right? So we're still going to see a lot of decisive games.
Yeah, and the match is also like really close. In the previous match, the match was pretty one-sided. So yeah, this could still like go anywhere. I mean, like I feel like the players are like really like I feel like this is almost like a fair matchup, you know. It could go anywhere. But I'm really worried for like both players and Bullet. I mean, I think they are like capable of like making the moves really fast, you know. I just don't know why it's not happening earlier.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just like normally, okay, the first game you can be a little bit, you know, a little bit nervous about, a little bit tentative, right? So like that's definitely happened to me. But then you got to like sort of pick up the pace.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I mean, the 5+1 time control is so tricky because you feel like you have quite some time, but then you're suddenly in time trouble if you spend too much time. So it can go really fast. And I feel like, I mean, things could get really interesting in 3+1. I think 3+1 will just like kind of like allow them to like speed up, you know, because the 5+1 is not pushing them enough.
You know what's interesting, Anamaya? Like, I really don't know why I see the computer eval bar giving such a big evaluation to white. Is there knight takes e6 here? I mean, is there something really cool like knight takes e6, pawn takes, bishop h5, check?
Oh, that would be interesting. Maybe there's something like knight f5?
Yeah, I don't really see. Oh, knight f5 also, right? Because like if white plays slowly, I don't really see what they're going to have, right? But yeah, I mean, so white just it's black's turn to move, right? After bishop b2?
Yeah, so
oh yeah, knight f5 is definitely a big threat. So she goes knight c5. Okay.
Oh wow, the engine is not happy with this. What is the reason of that?
I mean, rook a1. Okay, I like rook c4. Now there's no knight f5. Okay, b4. Oh yeah, you got to go b4 and push the knight. No wait, b4. Yeah, you do because the knight is pinned on d5. Oh, it's not. Wait. b4. Can they take?
Oh yeah, it works. Yeah. Everything is protected.
Bishop takes b7, knight takes b7, and somehow black is like everything protected. That's
let's have a look.
Really annoying.
Knight takes b4, bishop takes, knight takes to play queen a4 check, but the knight is simply defended on b4, so b7, black is more than fine here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 92 has been played instead. Yeah, it seems like Nana is coming back in this game slowly as her knights are now on really nice squares. I mean, it's not the like most
Can I tell you something, Anamaya? I think she should have played rook c4 so that the b4 square would be protected, right? If she would have gone rook c4, then b4, you got to push those knights off their good squares. That's another Irina's pro tip. Is fight against your opponent's strong pieces, guys. You can't let them enjoy their good squares. And like those knights on c5 and d5 are just really good right now.
Very, very well said. Yeah. So, yeah, that would have given white a lot more chances, but now it almost looks symmetrical, this position. To my surprise, I mean, you would not say this, but like if the pawn was like on a3,
oh yeah, it's completely symmetric, right? I mean, that's why it's so equal. I mean, like the little differences in the pawns don't matter, or you know, the bishop on f3 versus the bishop on e7 doesn't matter. So black is fine, and so white has lost her initiative. That's a bit of a shame because she does need to win to equalize the match, and she has to start being a bit more aggressive. She can't just beat Dzagnidze playing positional chess. She's got to take advantage of those like dynamic opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and now it's also really difficult to see how to make any sort of progress because if you play a move like e4, I mean, you're like locking your bishop kind of on f3, and you know you allow your opponent to put pressure on the pawn e4. So you are not really able to make any sort of progress. And I mean, if you're playing with the black pieces, you're more than happy to take such a position because, yeah, typically the white has a lot of space advantage and black is lacking a lot of that. So now that it's more or less equal, I think black is more than happy with this position.
You know what I think? Black should do just bishop f6 and queen e7. She just did it. Yeah. I think Black should just keep this strategy of like totally copying White. You got to get the queen off the d file before the rook gets there. So, you know, there's no harm in rook fd1, queen e7. Just get your queen out of the way. And White's, you know, extra tempo with rook d1 is not really going to do anything for her. I think there is knight f5 idea, but I don't think it's a big deal there.
At the same time, Black has the idea of knight f4.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I don't think any of them are going to be doing that.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, there's also the threat, obviously, of just capturing and then capturing the b3 pawn. So there are at least some threats in the position right now. So I'm curious to see how Humpy is going to respond to this. As for example, rook d1, there could be bishop takes d4 played already.
So can I just say to This Is Theory, he says, I listened to your pro tip, Irina, and now my opponent has tons of outposts because I push all my pawns. So let me explain that you didn't quite listen to me, because I said the idea is to push them off their good squares, not to give them new good squares, right? Because if they have new outposts, that means we've actually given their pieces good squares again. And the idea is to send them away and give them nothing, right? It's like a zero-sum game when you play chess.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I mean, there's like so many little details in chess. Like you might be taught one thing and then it could like cause confusion, and like it's so important to have everything set like right in your mind.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, definitely, I think for people learning chess, I mean, a hard thing is like, first you got to learn all the rules about chess. Then you got to learn the exceptions. Then you got to learn how to prioritize things. And it's often like people get confused because they're like, well, aren't I breaking this rule? When you're really just prioritizing another chess principle.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes a while to learn. I think it does make sense to just first start off learning the rules. That's the very first. Now, when I say the rules, I mean the chess principles, right? Like, you know, center, development, castling, like, you know, king safety, all of that. Like pawn structure, the essential things about pawn structure, how to keep it good. And then, you know, slowly you start learning like exceptions to that.
Right. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And yeah, it's really important. Really important to learn all those rules and like the principles and apply them correctly. But that's what makes chess so hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, queen a7. So like, is White making any headway there? Her rooks are on the open files. Okay, so she's made a bit of a pin.
Okay, yeah, suddenly there's a lot of pressure on Black's camp of pieces. I mean, bishop on a8 is doing just fine, but if it has to stay there, it's a bit concerning. And yeah, interestingly enough, White has really active pieces now. There's knight on a5. I mean, there could be knight c6 move sooner or later.
So yeah, I just wanted to point out on rook fd8, there was a move b4 and then knight c6 fork on Amaya. So there was already like tactics in the position, those two knights. On, wow, really? Queen c4. She puts her queen in the way of her opponent's rook. That's always a bit surprising. Oh, wow, they have no time. Like, we're like talking about this. There's so much play left. They're down to 13 seconds. All right, so queen e2, I mean, yeah. Knight c6 is a big square for White. She wants to use it. Lands a knight there. Nana is in trouble. Knight c6
now. Knight c6, and that's it. The bishop is just capturing the knight on e4.
Yeah, she's sacking the exchange. It's pretty hopeless. I mean, as long as Humpy doesn't lose on time, that's all she's got to do.
Yeah,
Rook
C1. 6 seconds.
Okay, she won a pawn.
Okay, she's winning. That should be it.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, right. So Humpy takes
3-3 now.
3-3. Yeah, she takes the game. I mean, I love it. I knew this was going to be a close match, and so far it is playing out like that. I would say neither player is exactly showing their best. You know, on Amaya, I feel like they can do more.
I believe so too.
Yeah, but they're very evenly matched. That's the whole point, right? Like, they're both very good fighters. And you know, maybe we're going to see them elevate their game to a new level, like we saw, for example, Kostenyuk do in the second part of her match against Stefanova in the 3-1, right? Like, she definitely started playing better. We'll see. I just mean, like, when I say they could do better, They could take a little bit more advantage of their opportunities, especially Humpy, right? I think, I think Nana is, she's maybe doing like relatively better than Humpy, in terms of taking advantage of her opportunities, being more aggressive.
Yeah, absolutely. And once again, Humpy spent like 30 seconds on move 3, which is slightly concerning because like even if you like get like a like slightly worse position from the opening, at least you saved some time on the clock. And now Nana is speeding up quite a bit, and you might start seeing like big differences if Nana continues playing like this.
Yeah, so now I'm looking at this opening, and again, it's like they've had this opening, but with opposite colors. It was Humpy that played this against Nana early on in the match, and now Nana is doing this against Humpy. Do you remember this was the game where Humpy held her pawns back with like E3 and D3, and she didn't push D4. Eventually, it got very bad position and lost. That was a game that Humpy lost with White. Now they're evening out on the clock, right? Look at all of that thinking about like, should I push the pawn to D3 or D4? I mean, it's, the time management, it is funny, I have to say. Like, I normally don't want to like laugh at that part. I'm not the fastest player myself, but I do think that they are, they're pondering too long on things that just like, they're not that critical. Like Nana, like, is there a reason to be down like a minute on the clock when you just made a few opening moves, right? Like just put the pawn on D4, the knight on D2 and just play, and then leave the time for later. So that would be my kind of, strategy.
No, absolutely. And I mean, here's the thing, like obviously like it might feel like, oh, they spend so much time, they're not good at online chess or like online blitz chess, but I think it's all relative. Like I think if they would be playing against, for example, weaker opponents, you will see like the difference much more. They'll be ahead on the clock more, and I think because they're so close to each other when it comes to level and skills and achievements, I mean, they're very very strong, like very like their ratings are really close together. I think that what makes their like time management this way as well, because they're really careful and don't want to mess up early on. Like they really care about the small differences.
Yeah. Yes. And okay, we're getting into it. Nana has played an interesting move there, pawn to E4. Possibly threatening at some point to advance to E5, although Black always has the D5 square. Now Rook C8 is kind of obvious, and then the queen will move to E2. She's definitely going to be putting that queen on E2. I don't think it really belongs on C2. I don't see Black resisting the move Rook C8. Yeah, there she goes. Queen E2, automatic. You just do it. You don't think, I mean, look, she can go Rook D1 if she wants. She can. Yeah, she doesn't have to get out of the pin. I'd probably, there you go. It's not a bad idea. Okay, nothing is really going on with that pin on the C file, but she will play Queen E2, I think, in the near future.
Yeah, exactly. Rook F1 makes perfect sense. You could even try to play knight b5, knight d6, but I feel like it's not like you're not getting a lot of advantage because of that. So if you can play like better moves like that doesn't cost so much time, you'll be better off doing that. So I guess another idea that White can consider is playing f4 and then e5 perhaps, but then you like close down the diagonal for this bishop, so you have to like make those decisions like really precisely and time them very well.
Yeah, Queen E7 by Black. I mean, it's kind of important for Black that the move E5 is met by knight D5, right? Because otherwise she might have some issues with that bishop, but she can always go knight D5. Queen E2. Queen E2, it's just time, Nana. It's just time to move that queen
to play
away from the pin. Here's another chess principle, guys. It's not good to be pinned, right? The moment you're in a pin, you got to feel the danger, and you got to give your, give your pieces back their mobility. So try not to get yourself pinned, because it's one of the most annoying tactical devices on the chessboard. And someone asked me, what is the #1 chess principle? That's a really good one. I would say make all your pieces work, make all your pieces, good, and try to build that harmony on the chessboard. So seek to mobilize each one of your pieces. If I had to give one, that would probably be it. If you can create that harmony, you're going to be doing well.
Absolutely.
And
so yeah, 95, and yeah, it kind of asks me to play f4.
F4 is interesting, but it's almost like you're provoking white to go forward, and then you go back to D7, and then white's kind of stuck with that move, and it's a little bit of a weakening move, unless you're planning to go pawn E5, which maybe you are. But F4 is a bit of a weakening move, I would say, right? So like she has to be kind of careful about that. Maybe she wants to go H3. I would actually say H3 is a possibility. H3, King H2, although, H3, black wants to be aggressive, maybe H5 at some point. Rook FD8 is obviously the first thing black will do. So she's thinking, it's kind of an important moment for white. She went H3. Yeah?
She went H3. Wow.
Yeah. I see the computer doesn't love that move, but it's definitely kind of like a natural move to think of, right? King H2. So she goes for this plan. So she wants to play F4.
Yeah, idea makes perfect sense. And this way you will not allow any sort of knight G4. And you could actually consider playing G4 yourself if you want to go crazy, And I think that would be awesome to see.
Do you always need to play bishop E2 to C2 to unpin? Well, it's very typical to try to break a pin on G4 with a move like bishop E2. A pin on B4, you can often break by castling, right? So you don't need to actually do anything about that pin if you just move your king. Yeah, guys, that's the general rule, that you want to get out of pins. Are there exceptions to that? Of course there are. You might sometimes be able to afford to stay in a pin a little longer, like we saw in this game. But ultimately, you got to let your pieces be able to move normally again. So that's why we saw this Queen E2 move. And Nana, okay, look at this. Minute and a half. They still got the whole middle game left to play. Like nothing's really happened yet. And white is like trying to prepare F4. That's what we can understand from their last couple of moves. They moved their king out of the diagonal, control the G4 square, and F4 is definitely coming. Now we know Humpy's not going to be playing G5, first of all, because it's a bad move, and second of all, it's not her style at all to do such a move.
I believe that move was played in such position, right? In our previous match. I recall that you were suggesting it, and it actually happened on the board, but it didn't really pay off. So I remember that from the last match. So Humpy is not going for that. And I think in this position, it's a cool tactic here on Amaya, because if the knight on D4 moves, there's the move bishop takes F2. Really cool tactic into a fork. Yeah, so let's have a look. Let's show the audience Ignace's board. If we move the knights anywhere, bishop takes F2 could be played, and after queen takes, there's the move knight to G4, and you cannot avoid the fork on the king and the queen. So really good tactic. That's nice. So Humpy thought about that, and she did come up with an interesting idea, and now she's got Nana thinking. Nana plays her knight to the side of the board. Okay, big changes coming up. White gets the bishop pair. I'm guessing that's pretty good for white, but she does have that awkward knight that she needs to bring back. Now bishop D4 obviously is going to be played. I don't know. I like white more. I always like having the two bishops, unless there's some outposts I see for the knights. Why is she thinking? I really like white's thinking over bishop D4. Isn't that just completely obvious? I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, it would be interesting to ask. I would like to ask their standpoint in this format. Are they I guess because they've played quite a few Blitz games. Nana has played quite a few Blitz games, but perhaps they're not too used to playing this type of format and everything. Yeah, well, they've played I played Nana in last year's Women's Speed Chess Championship, so it's not like. I think she is usually playing in these events because she's the top rated player from Georgia, and certainly Humpy. But what I
wanted to say is that here things are looking not so bad for Humpy. Okay, actually, yeah, where's that knight going to go? D7. I think D7, right? Or just go to D7 and then Queen C7 and
bit worried on knight B5 here because now the knight goes to D6.
Yes, strong move. I don't know, Queen B8, you just got to do something. So Queen B8.
Well, you certainly got to do something because of the clock. Humpy's up to 2 seconds. Is she going to move? Okay, she moved.
Bishop A8, just do your moves. I mean, Queen F3, I know it's dangerous, but like you just got to do something. I mean, Queen F3, Queen F8, okay. Now knight E7.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, she hated that move. She hated it.
And we see the flag.
She was so disgusted by that move. She could have just moved her knight to E7, gotten out with that pin. By the way, guys, remember I told you don't want to stay in those pins.
Yeah, this is your knight. Yeah, fair point. I mean, this goes to show like you need that time. You need to speed up early on in the game so you have the time at the end of the game. I mean, obviously it's really easy to say from our perspective, but sometimes you gotta like be satisfied with a like little bit worse position but more time on the clock. If you can manage to do that, you will like be able to bounce back at the later stage of the game.
Yeah, so now I think they're having their first Queen's Indian of the game, of the match. And Humpy goes for B3, which is definitely not like a main move. I mean, knight C3 is the main move, then knight E4, I believe, is how it's played. So B3, I mean, they're just kind of going for positions, right? Like they're not playing super mainline theory today, for sure. Like it's somewhere in the middle between like offbeat and, standard stuff. But that's fine for Blitz. They're going for positions where they're kind of comfortable in.
Yeah. I mean, I would say like those players are very experienced and like they know what they're doing and everything, but to see them still like play at such pace, it's still worrying me a little bit because at this point, like you'd expect them to play really quickly. And it's not like we see like some very crazy sidelines or like very sharp positions. It's pretty much theory.
F5, will she go F5 here? She actually needs to stop knight G5. Knight G5 is a positional threat, opening up a discovered attack on the bishop on B7. And there she goes. She stops it by closing up the attack on the H7 pawn. So this is like, this obviously F5 move makes the game sharper, which is good for us. Now, what are the ideas for white in this position? I mean, she goes Rook D1, which is pretty standard. I don't think she really wants to go D5 just yet because black just goes E5 and, closes things up. So maybe, what she wants to do, like maybe knight D2 with the idea of trading the bishops in E4 or even knight E1, like knight E1, bishop G2, knight G2, but then queen B7. You can see Nana's move is kind of meant to put the queen on B7 in the case of a trade there. It's not a random move. Yeah,
very precise move. And also for example, if black plays knight f6 and that knight G5 will be a little bit silly because the pawn A6 will be somewhat defended by the queen on C8. So it makes perfect sense. And yeah, I'm curious to see what the white's plan is now, because white typically if you're able to play E4, white is doing more than fine. But how do you actually get this move in? Maybe you have to consider playing knight D2.
Yeah. Can we go back for 1 second, like one move, Anamaya? Like instead of Rook D1, was there a move like knight G5 here? So knight G5, I think, of course, needs to be calculated because you're just trying to get the bishop pair. So the critical move is bishop takes G2.
Right.
And I mean, well, don't we just, don't we just, I don't know. It says we're not winning, but it looks like we're winning. Like, what is going on here? Like, that's so weird.
Perhaps the knight is, okay, it's not getting trapped, to be honest. Do you have some sort of like queen c8 move regardless?
Yeah, but just king G2, and it looks like we're doing well, right? We just won a pawn. Like, I don't really.
Yeah, you have to move.
I don't really get it. That is.
Do you have to move bishop e4?
Oh, that one.
That is the intermediate move.
And then you get like the two pieces for the rook. Wow. Right. Okay. So that was an interesting line. I figured we have time to look at this, because, by the time we get to their game, they'll only make like one move. So it's fine.
You're not wrong. But yeah, it was a very interesting line, and obviously something to consider, because if that's in position, you should definitely consider, because this pawn e6 is it remains a weakness for quite some time. So if you're able to play knight g4 at the right time, then that would be great for white. But instead, rook a1 was played because knight g5 was not working, queen c8, and now knight e1 was played. Makes sense. Bishop f6, and now e4, as we mentioned. That is a very logical move, because now white has more axis points in the position.
Now it's very interesting. Will she go knight f3? I think she will, but the question is, should she go d5? And she's kind of positionally better there as well, because the bishop in f6 is not great. Or should she just go, knight f3, improve her knight? I think knight f3. I think there's more to be gotten, from those light squares if the board stays a bit open. So this is the part where Humpy should, kind of dig in and start using her positional skills to really put pressure, because her position is better. She knows she's better.
Mm-hmm.
Her queen is beautifully centralized. That's another important principle. Guys, you want a nice, powerful queen in the center, and that's an example of one on e4, obviously compared to the queen on c8. She's very good. And now black wants queen d5, queen e6. So are we really better? How much better are we after queen e6? I'm a little concerned. I'm a little concerned that our advantage goes down. And I don't even know what Nana's thinking about, because queen e6, bishop c5. And then queen d5, then just queen d5 and it's fine. So
yeah, I'm wondering for who is doing better there, because it's kind of an interesting position with the knight against the bishop. So yeah, queen d5 check. What is she thinking? I mean, obviously queen e6 is what she's considering. But yeah, in any case, you would just play king h8. If you are in a rush, the first move you think about is king h8, and you just do it, because the worst thing that could happen is you have a slightly worse position after it. So yeah,
it's an interesting moment. I mean, I guess you're right. King h8 is not, it's not so terrible that you can't consider it. I mean, I would feel that white would just trade on d4, on f6, play knight d4. And the truth is, the queen on d5 is still powerful, so I just don't see why you wouldn't trade it. To me, queen e6, I don't know what she just doesn't like about the end game. But she's spending way too long on a pretty simple decision, isn't she? Right?
Yeah, I mean, in the worst case, you just play king h8, right? You don't need to go down the hill of queen e6 and calculating this line, because it's not like she'll gain an advantage out of it, right? It's not like she's forcing white to do something that will be worse, or you need to consider it very closely for that. But yeah, king h8, in any case, if you just want to save some time, you just play king h8, that's it.
So just very bad, practical decision to spend so much time. And then Humpy plays rook fe1 quickly, which by the way, I was suggesting bishop f6, knight d4, but she can do that later. Why not make the rook better? There's literally nothing black can do. And now you don't have queen e6, right? So this is the problem. Why would you want to leave this balance of white's queen on d5 versus your queen on c8, right? It's just not logical. And now knight d4 or knight g5. I mean, actually knight g5 now is a real issue.
Seems queen f8 indeed. Yeah, queen f8 needs to be played, but you're tied onto this rook, so perhaps you could play a move like rook e7.
Yeah, rook e7 is really something to calculate. I mean, maybe it doesn't quite work, but it's certainly
it doesn't do rook
e2,
much.
Maybe rook e2, and then they play h6 though. h6. Black wants to play h6 imminently to get rid of this knight. Okay, f4, interesting by Humpy. Nice aggressive move. Might be one of the more aggressive things that she's done today. I like this move.
I like her play so far. And she's so ahead on the clock. I really like Humpy's time management in this game.
Yeah. She needs to get control of the file. How about king f2? Or is there a sack on f4? No, I don't think there's no sack on f4.
No, I think it's fine, yeah.
King f2, use the king. Or even king f1. No, yeah, even king f1 if you don't want to be, if you want to be out of the range of the potential knight checks. Okay, queen c6.
Queen c6, I like that.
Nice. That's how she's fighting for the file. Yeah, I didn't see that. Cool move. She definitely improved. All right. So like, you see guys, this is why Nana's decision to spend like a minute thinking about King H8 made no sense, because now she's worse and has no time. Right. So, and she's giving up the C7 pawn, which I think could just be taken. I mean,
yeah, she can just capture it and she does it. And now you have, okay, you don't have Knight of 7 just yet. I think you just need to like accept the advantage and go for like Knight E4.
Yeah, it's a question. Should she go Knight E4 or Knight F3? Because, you know, her knight's pretty good too. Like, I think she'll go Knight F3, but she can really do either. She really can. I mean, Knight F3, I think Nana will go G5 because, I mean, she's got to do something. She has no time. Now, yeah, now there's no G5. So she's just better. And look at the difference in the queens, guys, right? This is why, remember I said you got to challenge your opponent's best pieces, right? Whether you trade them or you attack them. And that's what we didn't see in this game. And this is why white is winning.
Yeah, this is completely winning. Queen A3 is one final attempt to try something in the position,
Nice.
but the time ran out, and yeah, the position was also like pretty much lost. So really good game by Humpy and Irina. This is actually also the last game of the 5+1 portion. We have a 4-4 tie. Yeah, well, like, okay, it's so close. It's so close. Humpy started worse, but she kind of, I think she's coming into her own. I think, you know, Humpy is not like, well, she's capable of learning from her mistakes, right? We saw that she sped up in this game. She obviously wasn't in the mood to repeat that loss on time, you know, in the final seconds and the penultimate game of this portion. So I think if she plays faster, we're going to see a very close match. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like this is a very fair result and can be expected. Absolutely. Very exciting match so far. We're moving on to the 3+1 portion. After the break, we will go to a short break. The players will have some rest. And don't go anywhere. Stick around because this match is going to be even more exciting after this break. This is the 2022 FIDE Chess.com Women's Speed Chess Championship. Be right back.
there's nothing more tilting than that, winning for 45 moves and then losing, not even squeezing a half point out of that.
Right. And who's behind Arjun right now?
Multiple people.
Yeah.
What's going on there? There's like a whole party there.
I think they're just crashing and they're like, you can't stop me because you're busy playing your match. Someone moving a table?
Yeah, I think they're moving tables or chairs. I wonder whether he's probably not at home.
No, he was just playing in a tournament in Menorca. So I believe he's maybe still on the premises there. But either way, he's a party that he's missing.
First off, most important question. There was some stuff happening behind you during the match. Tables were getting carried away. Could you give us a sense of what was going on? And was that at all distracting, or did you manage to keep your focus throughout the match?
So basically, currently I'm in Spain, and internet is not the best in my room. So I'm playing from the commentary room. So there were some people working here, and that is why it was happening. But after that point, it was all cool, and it was slightly distracting, but I don't think it affected my chess.
Chess.com has a really cool event coming up this weekend, guys. It's called the Blitz Champs. Watch your favorite NFL stars compete for their share of a $100,000 charity fund. Legendary wide receiver Larry Fitzgerald will be joined by some of the biggest names in the league. Catch Cleveland Browns receiver Amari Cooper, Dallas Cowboys linebacker Micah Parsons, top 5 draft pick Kayvon Thibodeau, and others. It goes down on July 9th and 10th right here on chess.com. How exciting to get players from the NFL competing with each other for charity on chess.com. What a great idea.
Yeah, I'm super excited to see this. And obviously, I'm not really close to NFL, and I don't have much to do with it, but I think it's a really exciting event and I'm really looking forward to it. But yeah, welcome back everyone to the 2022 FIDE Chess.com Women's Speed Chess Championship. We finished the first portion of the match, the 5+1 portion, with a 4-4 tie between Nana Dzagnidze and Koneru. So let's have a look at the Smarter Chess stats as we see that So the prediction, I mean, it was more or less right. So Smarter Chess was predicting at least one more game between the ladies, but the prediction is correct. It is a tie. So in that sense, Smarter Chess is right. And for the 3+1 portion, Smarter Chess is predicting a 5.5 to 4.5 score for Nana and Dzagnidze. So let's see if Smarter Chess is right about that part.
Yeah, I mean, from what we've seen, certainly Nana should have some advantage in the 3+1, but it really depends on how well Humpy adjusts. If Humpy just kind of realizes that this hasn't exactly been working for her, just starts playing faster, I mean, we might see a surprise, right? I mean, if she doesn't really calculate, just plays on her instinct, well, she's got high kind of level of class, what we call in chess, and she can definitely just play on that instinct and play good moves.
Absolutely. And the game just started. So we have 60 minutes of 3+1 ahead of us. And before we jump into the game, we have a very attentive viewer. Thanagar is saying, wait, did you just change to the same dress as Anamaya, Irina?
Yeah, that's pretty funny. So I thought that would be funny when I saw Anamaya dressed as a chessboard today. I was like, hey, I can do that too. And we'll see if you guys notice. So
Did.
One of my chess outfits.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I thought for a change, like typically I don't really wear dresses. I mean, at least like for a commentary, like you only see like the top part anyways. So like I can like show off with like a fancy dress. But I thought like it's pretty like warm over here. So I could like use something cool, you know, like something refreshing, and this is what I went for.
Yeah, so this is a Queen's Gambit Carlsbad system that Humpy is going for. She kind of changed things up a little bit playing into this. They haven't really had this yet. Knight G7, F3, I guess, is the point. So I think F3 in general is going to be played here by White at some point, right? Their plan is F3 and E4. That's why their knight is on E2 and not on F3.
B3 is a bit of an odd move. I'm not sure what the reasoning is behind this, but typically F3 and then E4 is very typical moves. Or you just wait with playing E4, you just play bishop F2. Like there's all sorts of ideas in this position. Black wants to play knight G7 and bishop to F5 at some point, because typically like you're not able to access the bishop with the bishop to square F5 at all. But like this, you're able to. But it seems like Humpy is postponing this idea.
Yeah, I wonder if she will play like B4 and then C5 here, right? Which is quite typical, actually. And I think it's possible to do it. Okay, you can wait a bit, but certainly Black's pieces suggest that, C5 is in the cards, and you could even do it without B4 because of the tactics along the C file. So if she wanted to just play C5, I think it's certainly interesting. Because the pawn being on B3 has weakens the knight a little bit. I would give that move a look on Amaya, because I think that C-file stuff is annoying. I suppose White can try to play Queen D2. So maybe she doesn't want to do it, but she's kind of committed to it, right? Because like when you have a pawn on B5, well, what are you going to do with that, right? Why is it there?
Yeah, she plays C5. Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. After knight takes B5, obviously you're facing C takes D4, so that's not ideal for White. And at the same time, if bishop takes B5, same idea. You just take on B5, knight takes, and take on D4, and you open up the C file towards the queen. So yeah, very practical move, the move C5.
Yeah, I mean, so now, of course, White cannot allow that pawn to go to C4. And I predict we're going to have just a capture on C5, and then the queen will try to slide over to D2. Players are kind of evenly matched on the clock right now. So I think they're both playing at least, reasonably fast. Okay, wow, she took, huh? That surprised me a bit. So now Black has a choice, take on D4 or take on B5. I mean, I guess taking on B5 is the obvious thing. Take on B5, then take on D4. That's probably what I would do. And, just let the cards, fall where they will.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you win the pawn back like this. But what is interesting is that the position after that. So, okay, we're assuming that the queen will move and then the pawn will capture the pawn on e3.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see how this position will develop, because there's an isolated pawn on d5. But at the same time, black could try some attack on the king side. I mean, with knight h5. There's all sorts of opportunities, I feel like, and a6 is, I feel like, a good starting move.
Yeah, a6 was definitely good. No need to lose that pawn. I mean, I feel like white's position is more comfortable. It's easier to play for sure. You've got more, potential advantages like the queen side majority, play against the isolated pawn. I definitely like that the king's already on h1. Tactically, that's very good off of that vulnerable diagonal. So I feel like Humpy, she's got a work cut out for her here. And certainly with regards to the time, right? She's spending more time trying to figure out how to navigate this. Her knight on f6 is restricted by the f3 pawn. Like rook c1 here, I'd probably just do, I don't know, just do it. You don't have a lot of time.
Yeah, I mean, knight takes b3 is an obvious threat. So rook c1 is immediately stopping that, because the knight on c3 is under huge attack this. So knight d to e2. Okay, the idea makes a lot of sense. But you don't want to play a passive move like knight e2.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay, right? It's okay. Now, bishop d6, now things get interesting. Okay, but of course, there's no real time for the players to calculate now. So Dzagnidze still, is she threatening, I guess, the pawn? I guess she is, but now she's not. Now she can't take it. So her knight from e2 would be hanging. So will she go knight f4? But then there's knight b3. So knight b3 is going to be played. She just got to do it. I don't know. Does it work? Oh, bishop
she
h6.
plays bishop h6 instead.
Okay. I mean, I don't know why that's bad. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you play bishop e3, it'll just take that. And g3, I mean, you can just take it. Yeah.
Get the double pawns. Now she's going to take with the queen. But then there's like a knight b3 tactic in the end. So now Humpy's just doing great. Knight b3. Don't even think about it. Right? Rook e8. You don't want to take that beautiful
this bishop.
pawn?
Yeah, this bishop will become very strong now. This diagonal is very weak for black.
Yeah, I mean, I would say now is a total random mess, and of course Humpy is like low on time. I don't know how she's gonna survive this.
Queen e6 is a really good move, trying to play queen f8, because you want to play queen h6 and then threaten to take on d5.
How does she neutralize that bishop? Well, there she goes. I mean, that's an attempt, I guess. Knight h5, knight h5, knight c6. Ooh, barely surviving. She's a couple of seconds on her clock.
Take and take, but then I feel like the position is becoming very equal. So Nana wants to make it still a bit more complicated than that.
Ooh. I mean, I don't know. It's going to take a miracle for black to survive this. I mean, she has to play instantly and hope that she equalizes with Dzagnidze on the clock. Maybe she can save this. Maybe. But it's tough. It's a tall order. But now they're equalized on the clock. That's progress, right? King
but it's clear that Nana has an advantage here, so this will be very difficult for Humpy to hold. But this knight can still be very tricky, and I like that she's moving the knight around because it will confuse Nana a lot.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't think it's easy at all with the time situation. She's even a little bit ahead on the clock. Humpy has done well. I don't think she's really losing anymore. And like anything can happen, although she just let that king into g4. I don't know about that. Okay, like rook c2. Okay, repetition. Maybe. I don't know. Who's trying to win here? Who's trying to win? Is it check? Knight c4. Ooh, she must be
b5.
Yeah, she's losing now. Definitely.
Yeah, it's impossible to stop this pawn. King d3 you can even consider.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for Humpy, but Dzagnidze going to take this game, I think.
Looks like it, and the king is simply escaping. There's no checkmate patterns available.
Yeah. Okay, actually.
Okay. You can checkmate on h8. Oh no, wait.
Yeah, I guess there's not. I mean, she's gonna play a little bit, right? I mean, it still makes sense to play. There's checkmate on h8. Yeah.
Okay, now resigned. Yeah, so good game by Nana, starting off with the fleet +1 portion of this match.
Let's see. What is our chat talking about? Okay, nothing that requires our response at the moment. So we have a Slav defense. They had that, they have had this between them, not in this match, but in their previous encounters and over the board chess. So not entirely surprising by Nana. She's now up a point on the in the match. And let's see, Humpy going for kind of a quiet line with bishop d3, knight d2. Yes. And let's see how this goes, because this is definitely an interesting opening.
Yeah, and what I like seeing from both ladies is that they're playing much faster compared to the 5+1 portion of the match. So that already makes me like much happier, because it will be very hopeful for both players, because you don't want to have the match decided because of like the clock only, because both players are so strong, and it'll be very sad to see like that we don't see their true power, their true strength, because they've been spending so much time throughout the games.
Yeah, I was wondering, would white go e4 or like hold off with that move? Humpy decides to just go for it. What now? B3? I mean, B3 is kind of interesting, actually, trying to put the bishop in the long diagonal.
I think that
is interesting.
Sense.
Queen e2, CD4, rook d1. Actually, I kind of like that, queen e2 and rook d1. I think the rook would be good there. She played bishop e3. Okay.
Knight g4, is that a threat? I guess maybe not.
Yeah, you have to look at it, but there's queen d3. You can try to provoke some weaknesses. That's what she's going for, queen d3 there.
Yeah, you have to be really careful here, and you don't want to move your pieces twice in the opening, but sometimes like when a move like bishop e3 is played, it just screams the move knight g4 to you. But I have a feeling that in this position, it might be a bit too much to go for knight g4. First, got to make sure that you develop your pieces, and then you can consider such moves.
Yeah, I wonder what her idea is with that capture, because like, okay, she was just going to trade the pieces, like, or no, bishop g5. So now we see it. So now it can get really interesting. I mean, I suppose she'll just play bishop e7, but it is interesting in these kinds of positions to allow white to take at f6, double the pawns, and kind of give up the bishop pair. But yeah, I mean, there's no need for it, so I'm not surprised that she went with bishop e7. And so the question is, how does white develop their initiative? Queen e2, protecting c4.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. I mean, queen e3 is an idea because you want to threaten to take on f6, but obviously queen e3 will be met by rook d8. So queen e2 is the more safer option, and obviously like this threat is like a very cheeky tactic and will not be missed by Nana. So
can I say one thing, Anna? I was going to say b6 here, obvious move, but it's not so obvious because there's bishop f6, queen e4, doing a double attack. And even then we can look at it. It's not clear, right?
I fall for this trick every time I play with the black piece. This is actually disgusting. But yeah, b6 is such a logical move, but every single time just takes and then takes, or queen e4 first, like all sorts of tactics arise.
Yeah, so she went bishop d7. I mean, knight e5 is sort of obvious, right? You got to go get the bishop pair. I mean, I don't know what else she could really do other than knight e5. It's such a natural move here for white.
Yep.
I would do that. I mean, I suppose you could wait a little bit because, okay, bishop c6, then you can go knight e5. But, yeah, knight e5 is quite natural. She's got a bit of an edge on the clock in this game, Humpy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, she has a really nice position too. So, but the thing is that I think it's pretty obvious for like black what to do here. Like it's not like such a terrible position, like you're able to develop your pieces. Bishop can go to c6. But I feel like Humpy is like very comfortable in such situations. Like she has this like, as you said, she loves to play very positionally, and I think this suits her style then, like having such a position, playing very calm and very slowly, but having this small advantage throughout the game. I think that will be like very comfortable for her.
I guess the way to spice up this position, Anamai, is to go b4 and give black a choice, take the pawn or not. Let's put that on the board. b4, bishop takes b4, bishop f6, pawn takes. I mean, it actually looks like we have a pretty powerful attack there. Queen g4.
Can you even play queen h5?
Yeah, you can. It's a question, like, where do we want their king to be?
Yeah, right.
I mean, I guess you got to go f5. We have at least a draw.
F5? Yeah, I was hoping for knight g4.
Yeah. There's like very cool ideas like that. in the position. I mean, I guess here there's bishop e7 or something, so you can't really.
Right.
Maybe you can go queen g5. Yeah, I mean.
Oh,
sorry.
yeah.
So if we start with queen g5, okay, so she hasn't gone for this, which is, not surprising because she's just going for the simple bishop pair, but it's like a really interesting line. b4 would have been, we can ask her after the games. I don't know if we get to interview her. I don't know if we will, but I'd be interested to know if she considered this pawn sack.
Yeah, right. I mean, this was really interesting. And yeah, it's very difficult to like come up with such moves. Like it's like those moves are like just not coming up in your mind most of the times. So like to hear about them is more like, oh wait, really? Like it's like an eye opener, So yeah, it will be interesting to hear if they like considered such moves, because I can just imagine that, they're not obvious at all.
Yeah, I mean, so she has a pleasant position. So wait, 20 seconds. Wow, for this position, that's not a lot, right? You have the two bishops advantage. I would like at least like a minute and a half to play this position. And even like maybe like 2 minutes would be better for some reasonable play, to have a chance to really show the power of the bishops. Like right now, queen d2 for sure. Yeah, of course, bring in the queen. Unfortunately, black has a lot of initiative. Queen a5.
True.
Okay. She trades. That's not a great idea. I think she should have repeated. She's trying to play for a win, Anana, despite the fact that she's a little bit worse. So I would have tried to repeat the moves. Now the whites are going to bring out their king. G3.
G3 and
F2.
Yeah, white has a small edge because of the bishop pair, but it's a very small advantage, and it's always like very difficult to convert this to anything.
Yeah, you got to go F5. I mean, it's hard to convert, but it certainly
but now
is better.
You can suddenly like put the king all the way to G6 and just try to grab some pawns on the king side.
Yeah, the bishops are starting to kind of dominate. Pawn A3, that's it. Go bishop D6, go C5, I think. Maybe
C5, really important.
5 is, question of what to do with the king, yeah? What is she trying to do? Go king E4? Yeah. Maybe put the king on D5. Move the bishop now to somewhere and go king D5. Yeah.
Oh, but players are still on the clock. Oh my goodness.
Oh, wow. 2 seconds. Wow. They have
taking
no time.
C5 was possible. Or king D5.
Yeah, this is so crazy.
Oh
so
my
crazy.
Goodness.
Oh no. Oh,
no,
Humpy lost.
Oh my goodness.
Humpy lost. She just needs to speed up.
That is devastating. She had such a good position at the end.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
that's devastating.
Nana is just, she's a little more practical. That is the thing, when you get down to that 1 second increments, like that's it. Like it's very likely you're going to lose on time.
Yeah, I mean, like it's just bound to happen if you're playing at this pace, and yeah, it's so unfortunate that like both players are like so strong, and like they create this like really like interesting positions, but around move 20 they're already like around like a few seconds on the clock, and then you're not able to like build on this game that you've like creating for like 20 moves, so like it just like falls apart pretty much whether you're like make blunders or not.
That's exactly it, that they build the positions, but there's no time to really play them out. It just becomes randomness, like Humpy, that bishop end game would have been interesting, right? With the two bishops, queenside pawn majority, but well, what did it lead to, right?
Yeah. You prefer to have like 1 minute in that situation than like spend 1 minute like on the first 10 moves, let's say.
Yeah, so Humpy needs to now really speed up to get back into this match. Now she's down on the clock again, but her position is fine. They are playing an English opening.
Yeah, and this is also like quite theoretical, so yeah, it's a little bit surprising they take quite some time already, but yeah, I guess we have to get used to this. They just play at this pace, and
C5.
Yeah, knight B5. Yeah, C5 is
better for black already, isn't it? Like, isn't his black just better here?
Yeah, looks like it. I mean, this knight on d5 is actually really awkwardly placed. I don't think knight b5 was the move. Perhaps knight e4 was a bit more accurate to try to get to c5.
Yeah, the thing is, black has a space advantage and the 2 bishops. Now, I don't know what Humpy's thinking about, but like c5 just needs to be played, right?
Yep.
All right, so now white is like clearly worse because they just have less space. They don't have any redeeming features. Knight d5. Just don't even think about it, Humpy. Just knight d5. Put the knight in. It's a beautiful square. Take control over b4 so they can never undermine you. Okay, I mean, bishop d7 is good too, honestly. That she's threatening a6. I mean, you know, her position is really good.
Absolutely.
But, you know, it takes a little time,
a6?
right? That's the thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
a6, there's bishop b7, then you take on b5, and then you win. Yeah, so a6.
Yeah. yeah, I think that's a great evaluation.
Yeah, short calculation, an evaluation, and that's it.
It's that simple sometimes, but Humpy down to 1 minute on the clock already. That's the time goes really
I don't know what
quickly.
She's thinking about. Is she like calculating knight takes a4, queen a4, and pawn a6? I mean, look, it's interesting. I agree. Knight takes a4 is an interesting move. Like, should you be spending this amount of time to calculate this through? There you go. She went for it. I think that it's a little too perfectionist from Humpy. Oh, a6 needs to be played. No, okay, she's going for this one. Fine. So, okay, so actually this is not so bad for white. Yeah, I mean, now black takes, she takes on b7, plays bishop f3, and is actually okay. Amazingly enough. So you see, this is the problem, Anamaya. She spent a lot of time and it wasn't even productive. Like her advantage got less here because now the white bishop on f3 is super strong. So it doesn't even matter that she won a pawn because she's probably just losing it right now after rook a4, it's gone. And then she's worse because then she's gonna have problems with f7 and she has no time. So it's just like a6, you know, or like, just, you know, don't try to play all the best moves, right? Just play faster. You already had a good position, right?
Yeah, and this goes to show like how important is like this opposite color bishop position. Like rook takes a7 now, and it's so difficult for black to defend this pawn on f7. It's because this bishop on f8 is not able to protect. I mean, you can play bishop e7, but black will just be playing very passively here, and white will have the chances to convert it to a winning position. But okay, I mean, rook e7, it's not so clear just yet.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I think black is fine. First of all, she's a lot lower on the clock, so she's even going to suffer here, right? Black objectively is fine, like it should be a draw. But okay, Nana can try to win. I mean, why not? She has such a time advantage that she's risking nothing. And she can, like, she is more active. Her bishop is more active, so she just needs to find some sort of plan. Like, there you go. She kind of, now she has the 7th rank. Opponent's bishop can't move. I mean, like f5 at some point, f6 is an idea, like f5, right? There you go. I mean, okay.
f6 now?
Ooh.
Oh, wait. Yeah,
Whoa,
it works.
Wait. Why is this winning? Why is this
f6?
winning? F6 wins the bishop.
Rook e3,
rook
king f4.
Bishop d6, though. White's mated. Wait, what? Isn't this? Oh, and white's
bishop
not
d6,
mated.
king g5, and the king is running away.
Oh, wow. And black is in serious trouble. Rook f7, and that is going to be like, that pawn is going to promote. Yes. Okay. This is just an example, like a prime example of not practical chess there by Humpy. You know, I don't want to be hard on her. It's because I want her to do well. I want this match to be close and I want her to show her best. And I'm just trying to give my helpful little advice, even though she can't hear me. Like that what we just saw was actually, it wasn't like, it was even a little bit like less practical than usual. That's why I'm talking about it, you know?
No,
you can't
absolutely
afford to spend that much time and then not be winning, you know?
Yeah, like it's just not worth it to spend so much time if you don't have like a clear advantage, or like if you're like seeing something like that is going to like change the position so much that like either you'll like it's like you're taking a risk and you spend so much time because of it, or like something incredibly something incredible will happen. So yeah, it's just not worth it to spend so much time at that stage.
And the thing is, like, she was going in for a line that was tactically risky, right? Like, yes, it's interesting, but you know, in a blitz game, okay, so her calculation wasn't perfect, right? That can happen. But the issue is, like, she didn't have to go for this because she had other simpler ways to play. And she wouldn't have to, you know, there was much less of a risk there. There would be a tactical miscalculation there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, yeah, I mean, blitz chess does require some practicality. I mean, I'm not a great, you know, blitz player myself. So it's like, you know, giving lessons from the side is easy, but, you know, that's just kind of like, you know, when you're watching from the side, sometimes it's like quite obvious what needs to be fixed, right?
Mm-hmm. True. Yeah, it's so much easier from the side. I mean, yeah, I mean, we see the mistakes they do, and like in our own games, we make maybe even worse mistakes. So it's all like very relative. But yeah, what is really like typical from this match is that the players really need to like play faster. They play very well, they play very good chess, but it's the time that is hurting the most. And once they are like lower on the clock, the craziest things happen and pieces fly over the board left and right. So time is definitely really an important factor in the Speed Chess Championship.
Yeah, and you know, we've seen that as we have moved to the 3-1 portion, Nana has just you know, put out 3 wins in a row. It was an equal match, and now she's 3 points ahead. And you know, as the time control gets faster, I would say that it's not Humpy's forte, you know. So that really has been like a tough streak of losses for her. I mean, even psychologically, losing 3 in a row at any point is like very hard, right? So I don't know how, you know, how she's going to come back from this now.
Yeah, especially since one of the games she lost was on time when she was clearly having an advantage in the end game. So that's also, as you said, like psychologically, it's really hard to deal with and recover from that. Like, how do you just brush off such an unfortunate loss? So yeah, let's see if she is able to like bounce back, because we'd love to see a close match, and we'd love to see Humpy perform despite having difficulties with the time.
Well, let me give some hope. I just remembered my own match against Nana last year. And I'm pretty sure I must have been trailing as well, because, you know, like I said, I mean, I'm not the best blitz player, so I'm sure I was trailing at some points. But as we got into the bullet, right, like I started winning a lot of games and wound up tying the bullet, you know, tying the match in the bullet portion, like surprisingly. And then we had to play a tiebreak, which I lost, unfortunately, because I lost that first, you know, like a bullet game or something, and it was like, you felt very bad, you know, as you tie the match and then you get like deflated again. And I think I didn't recover from that, so it was like a mini match of 2 games, and Nana went through. But still, you know, it is definitely possible to start racking out those wins in the bullet, but she just needs to keep it kind of close, maybe within a couple of points margin.
Yeah, I mean, anything can still happen. Like, if you have like a good streak, it's really making your life much easier. So if Humpy manages to get a few points back, then we're talking about a match again. And also like in the bullet portion, anything can still happen. Like, we know both players are like not the fastest players. So I think it could still go anywhere.
Yeah, like she's thinking over knight f5 here, right? Like, you can't think over knight f5. Just do it. Just play it. You know, like even like 8 seconds, even 10 seconds is too long to think over.
You have to play like in 1 second. Like, the speed that your mouse allows you to play this move, that should be the pace.
You take the bishop on d6 and then you think, right? Like, take it. And I mean, well, I understand it's not that trivial. Like, I understand there's an attack on e4 that she's like preparing for. So I wouldn't say it's easy. I understand what she's thinking about, but the problem is now she's still in the same position. She just has less time. Now another 1 minute difference on the clock. Like, what's the chance that she's going to convert this better position with the dynamics coming in with e4 hanging with just, you know, 30 seconds? I mean, I would say no chances.
Yeah. And that makes this match that will be very difficult for Humpy. And I mean, she doesn't have like a bad position. She has a really like decent position. Maybe it's a bit difficult to deal with the fact that knight takes e4 is a threat. But even then, perhaps like after knight takes e4, could you even consider playing moves like f3? I mean, with the bishop on e3, you probably can. But yeah, I mean. Yeah, this time and deficit is going to hurt her very much in this game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing like knight e4, maybe bishop d4 is the issue. I mean, that seems like a pretty good move, actually. Knight e4, bishop d4, queen f4. I would take the pawn. Yeah, I would just take it. Like, I mean, you got to take the pawn because otherwise you're positionally worse. So Nana is thinking, I think that's also, I don't know, maybe there really is a big tactical problem. Okay, rook c8 seems like a reasonable move, but now bishop d4, right? Just do it. Just do it. Don't think.
Yeah, she's at 20 seconds, so she really needs to speed up now. And yeah, queen f4, it looks quite scary, honestly, with the queen on f4.
She's losing the pawn. She's losing the pawn on e4. Now there's a queen trade. Now she's like, you know, black is going to be fine. Of course, white has compensation, but it's no longer so clear. So knight e4, queen e4. Okay, at least the queens are on the board, which maybe white can even be kind of happy about. But can she keep them?
e3 is it possible?
F3.
Knight
Now knight
e2 could be dangerous.
Is possible. G6 maybe.
Yeah, I mean, you don't really want to play bishop c2 because I mean, you can still play it, but ideally you would want to put the rook on c2. So you want to give that square to the rook rather than putting your bishop on that square. It doesn't do so much over there.
Yeah, okay. I mean, right now, I would say it's not so easy. Okay, knight d3 was a good move. I didn't see that one. That was actually a good square for the knight. And that means that black has the initiative again. Black has an extra pawn. I mean, tricky threats with the knight. And okay, but now they're down to 10 seconds. That's good news for Humpy. She just needs to get a little lucky. She just needs some luck in this position to not lose on time where she usually does, right? Equal position right now. Maybe she's kind of even better. She can take on d6. She's like, now she's got slightly better position, more active rooks, like really nice safe king. And she just needs to win this game. She needs it so badly. And, you know, maybe h4, pawn h4. Okay.
The clock, 1 second.
Yeah, h4, h4. Now put the king on g3. Don't think about it. Just an obvious move. Ooh, winning a bishop.
What a move.
Whoa, nice by Humpy.
That's a really good win there.
Nice.
Really good win by Humpy.
Maybe she just made a move to make her lose on time. I wonder. At the end, was that winning or was there still?
I believe it was winning. But
yeah, let me see that, like that last position where she played rook g6 actually isn't winning because it's not clearly winning, right? She didn't have to do this move, but I think it was actually, that's the kind of practical stuff that I am happy to see because she just basically didn't give her opponent a chance to make a final move, right? She just played a surprising move and Nana was so shocked that she lost on time. One was better there. I mean, her move was good anyway. It was good. It wasn't like a forced win, but it was actually a good exchange sack.
Yeah, let's pull up the game real quick to show the audience what was possible there.
Yeah, so rook takes g6, and this is the move that made Nana lose on time. But it's a good sack. I mean, after pawn takes on g6, rook g7, the king has to go to f8, and then you just play rook takes g6. You actually have 3 pawns for the exchange, really stable bishop on c3, really stable pawn structure. So you're definitely much better. But, you know, there would still be a struggle left, right? Like black would certainly not resign if she wouldn't be losing on time. So so that was some good practical stuff by Humpy, and that was really important. Now at least she pulled in within range of 2 points. If she keeps playing like that, you know, it'll be better. So let's see. Let's see if she can bring up her fighting skills.
Really interesting final ending of that game. Unfortunately, it ended with a flag, but the ending was really interesting. And I mean, I think Humpy would have converted that very convincingly still. So let's see how this game developed now? We're back to the Carlsbad structure. This time it looks like Nana is opting for the move e4 with the move of bishop f2 included, which she, I believe, didn't do in the previous.
I think she'll play bishop g1 here.
Bishop
I don't know
g1?
why I think so. I mean, if she's thinking about e4, actually, I don't know why I think bishop g1, but for some reason I just thought bishop g1 looks like a blitz move that you do to protect h2, you know, before like knight g4 happens one day, or bishop d6. But, you know, it's a bit, of course, of a, but right now it's black's turn. Okay, black's turn. Black is turn. So, yeah.
Yeah, king h1 was just played. So, yeah, in this position, the move c5 is not, I mean, okay,
d4,
without the
let's
knight
go.
on f6,
Nana's gonna go
be
g4.
difficult.
She's going to go d4. I don't know why I think so. It doesn't have to be played, but it's like a very typical aggressive move in these positions. And I wouldn't be surprised if she did that. Okay, she went for e4. That's fine. So she's letting the knight come to f4, but I guess it's not a big deal. You always have bishop g3. Good move. It's a good move, e4. Good practical move.
Absolutely.
India is losing, says GS Potted. G spotted. Yeah, that's right. India versus Georgia at the moment. India is behind. And these teams are both very strong on the women's side. And they're going to be competing later this month in the Chess Olympiad in India. I got to say, you know, we haven't talked so much today about the upcoming Olympiad, Anamaya, but there's two very interesting teams missing from the Olympiad, and it is Russia and China. Like, well, we knew Russia was not going to be able to play, but I actually have found, Anamaya, a surprising silence on the fact that China is not registered for the Olympiad. Like, I haven't seen it. I mean, even really anyone write about it. When you look at the teams, I immediately, because I've been thinking about that for a long time, like knowing China's lockdown policies, zero COVID and all of that. I was like, are they going to send a team to the Olympiad where there's going to be thousands of players and really no COVID, mitigation really possible, right, in such a scenario? And, I was quietly wondering, I checked the teams and I don't see China on the list. And I also just don't see anyone talking about it, which is amazing because, I mean, China is a winner of the Olympiad on both the open side and the women's side. So you would think that someone would comment on the fact that, like, such a strong team is missing and, maybe kind of explain why, maybe get a statement from the Chinese Chess Federation, like, just to see what's going on. But I haven't seen that addressed at all. And that really opens up, the women's Olympiad for sure, because China is like always perennial favorite along with Russia. And now we have, Ukraine, Georgia, an up and coming young Kazakhstan team, really strong. India is very strong this time. So, I mean, yeah, it actually kind of opens up the way for a few other teams to make an impact.
True. Yeah. I'm really looking forward to see how the Olympiad will develop. I mean, obviously I will be cheering for you as my co-commentator.
Thank you, Anamaya.
But there's like so many strong teams. And I remember from like 2016, your team was also like, you guys were really strong playing at the top boards many times. So that was really exciting.
Yeah, in 2016, USA beats Russia, board one of the Chess Olympiad.
Yeah, I remember you guys had like some crazy results. I don't remember exactly, but I saw you guys often at the like very top boards. So like, I don't remember like which place you finished or something, but I do remember seeing your team on the top boards many times.
Yeah, we generally, the US women's team usually does quite well. I mean, we're ranked always kind of in the top 5-10 teams kind of starting out. I would say usually a top 5 finish is good for our team. Definitely hard to medal. Our last medal was in 2008. And, for us to medal, we have to outperform ourselves, right? Yeah. Definitely. We're not ranked in the top 3 by rating. So like any medal is really good. But in general, we do often make an impact, and we've beaten and drawn teams like Russia and China along the way. So it's never really like a foregone conclusion, even when we play teams higher ranked than us. So yeah, I mean, I hope that we're going to be having a really good event this year. We have a couple of new players. Carissa Yip joining the team for the first time.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, she'll be playing Hao Yifan in the Women's Speed Chess Championship pretty soon. And Begim Tohirjonova from Uzbekistan, who's now studying in St. Louis. So we have new players, new blood, you know, and that's usually a good thing for the team.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think your team is really strong, and I'm really looking forward to see how you guys will do this time. But yeah, the Olympiad is such an exciting event. It's like the top players from every country are like facing each other, and yeah, the format is really awesome. In like the team format, I really like that.
Meanwhile, I really don't like Humpy's position because it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. That pawn is promoting. Is there any chance? I mean, no, there is no chance. Okay. It's over.
Looks a bit scary at first, but King of Pawn saves the day for white.
All right, so Nana back to her 3-point lead as we kind of chatted about the Olympiad. She won that game again. Yeah, we're ranked number 8. That's what Symphonic Night is letting us know, right? Which is not high. I mean, given that Russia and China are not playing, for our team to be ranked 8th is quite low. And I think that just really goes to show how much the other teams have been strengthened, like India, Kazakhstan, Poland, who I think are strengthened by the presence of Alina Kashlinskaya, who transferred from the Russian Federation. That's a big one. I'm not sure. I see France is very high. I kind of wonder who's playing for France if they're so high.
Marisa Bang?
Right. But even with her, like, I mean, is Almira playing? Like, how did they get such a high ranking? And Azerbaijan is higher rated than us. Okay, they have some strong players. But I mean, I would say like, okay, Poland, France, and Azerbaijan are, let's say, quite close to the US, right? But India, Ukraine, Georgia, Kazakhstan, you know, I mean, those teams have a lot of like professional players. I can definitely see why they're ranked as high as they are. Although, you know, a US team has done pretty well against India in the past. We won kind of a nice match against them, I think, in the last Olympiad. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, we just got to perform better than our ratings.
Yeah, I mean, if you can do it once, there's definitely opportunities to do it twice, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, you know, American team has a lot of team spirit, and I think that's why we often just do better than our ratings would.
Yeah,
would
I think that is the underestimation as well. Yeah. So.
That's what people got to know. America always plays to win, you know?
Yeah, that's very good.
Yeah.
Ooh, Queen B5 is in this position.
Oh, wow. Humpy, go get that bishop, Humpy. Yes.
Yeah, she does it.
Oh, Nana is like, what in the world? Starting the game down a piece, and she's not resigning because, I don't know, maybe she thinks Humpy's going to lose on time again, but I think Humpy's got enough time for this.
Yeah, and maybe like because she's ahead on the match score, she's happy to have less games. But yeah, this is, I mean, obviously resignable, but that move was like, you know, it's so easy to miss such a move. Like, you know, your bishop is on h5 and it could be like vulnerable, but that kind of like pattern is really easy to miss.
Yeah, that check, because the bishop was so far like on that side of the board, it was definitely easy. But I mean, I think Nana should just resign and like play another one. I don't really know. Maybe she just wants to drag this out. I don't know why. I think I would just resign after blundering that check.
Yeah, I guess though it's like also like some like, you know, time off, like, you know, you have you know, you're gonna lose this game, so like while you're like still like playing some move here and there, like you have some sort of rest, because this format is quite heavy.
Yeah, that's a good team. Symphonic Night, somehow you found all the players on the team. Maybe you can send us the link where you see that, because I don't even know who all the where to find the actual team makeup. So that does look like a pretty nice French team. I mean, sort of like I wouldn't say there's so many new players there other than Savina. right? But they're all close to 2,400. So yeah, it's a very formidable team.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you, Traveling Nowhere. This commentary is dreadful. Thank you for that compliment. Really appreciate that. All right, let's get back to this game. I mean, white is still up a piece, right? So nothing is really happening. It's just that black is not resigning. Okay, knight b6 is a threat. There you go. Traveling Nowhere. It's there's a threat of a fork. Don't miss it.
Yeah, maybe that's what will excite them. No, yeah, I mean, white has a really nice position, the knight on b6, and I mean, other than the fact that even if we could like remove one piece off the board with this knight on b6, it's clearly winning, but there's not much to comment on if just so winning.
Okay, white's rook has come to the 7th rank, attacking the pawn. I mean, Nana, you know, she's trying to hold on, and she is kind of running Humpy lower on the clock, but it's just that objectively, there's nothing going on there. You take on d6, you play like b4, you play bishop c5. I mean, okay, that's pretty good. She just wins the b7 pawn. Yeah.
Yeah, it is definitely resignable, but it's funny that like both players have like better time management in this game than like I feel like this is the best time management they have had like compared to all the other games.
Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, I think of the commentary, you know, you just kind of like find a balance, right? Because like we talk about the chess a lot, but sometimes you want to talk about things that are a little related to chess, but not exactly, right? I mean, most people, I think, interested in that part as well, but definitely, I mean, you got to strike the balance, right, between the chess and the peripheral stuff.
Yeah, I mean, everyone has like different preferences, and it's never good enough. Let me tell you that. There's always going to be like complaints or like people that are unhappy with certain things. So yeah, it's easier to like talk from the side. That's what
yeah.
What is,
well, we try to kind of show you guys a little bit more than just the chess moves. That's the idea, but we can definitely stick to just the chessboard and discuss this highly interesting position. Is she ever going to take that bishop? Only, I guess, if she wants to get the knight as well. So Humpy now has a time edge on the clock. She can trade everything. It's a great opportunity. Yeah. Knight d6. And it's so funny that Humpy still doesn't want to do that because now she wants to go bishop g4. Just refuses to trade. I definitely would have traded.
Yeah, I like the move f4. F4 was really nice to open up the bishop, and I guess it's like just time to trade everything off. But bishop g4 even better. But 96. So what do you do about that? I guess you just take and.
Yeah, I don't really know why she kind of went for all of this stuff. I guess she can go. Is there a checkmate like f5? King
I was
d6,
trying to figure out, but yeah, king d6.
Yeah, she's
b4.
trying to checkmate. So now she's getting another pawn. Now she gets all the other ones. Okay, so she's like completely winning. It's funny that she's like still playing on. At this point, I would resign. There must be some strategic reason or something. I mean, because there's no chess reason to play on.
Yeah, but okay, we have to be honest here. I feel like ever since the knight has like dropped, the bishop was dropped from the position. I feel like I believe there was 6 minutes like already passed ever since. So you could say that that's in favor of Nana. If she is capable of, postponing the end of the game for 6 minutes, she will feel comfortable with this. While having
is it going to be so? It's going to be 8-6. Okay. Well, I mean, when it's within 2 points, I think that's good. But I don't know why Nana just wanted to drag that out. I wonder what was her thinking in that. Maybe we'll see. I don't know who we're going to get to talk to at the end. Certainly, Nana has an advantage right now. 2 points is quite nice. But Humpy has Humpy has fought back every time that it's been 3 points. I think she's kind of struck back very quickly to make it 2 again.
Yeah, and she's been doing. She's obviously doing really well. It's just like the time management. If she is capable of improving this time management problem, then we will be able to see even more crushing wins from her because she is playing really well. It's just the time is a problem. And I mean, same goes for Nana pretty much. But Nana has been a bit more practical in that sense that once she's like lower on the clock, she like plays very practically and wins the positions more than Humpy.
Yeah, I mean, now they're in a Nimzo, which they actually haven't really had before. This is an opening that is in both of their repertoires. So Nana played this early A3 move, getting the bishop pair. And, you know, it's a pretty good move for Blitz, I think, to try to get the initiative. We'll see how Humpy deals with this. I mean, Queen C2 is sort of obvious, I suppose. I mean, I suppose you can castle here, yeah, and just allow them to take on C3 because then you have Queen C2. So they're probably not, right? So there Humpy goes F5. Now you go Queen C2, right? Because you don't really want to probably give up the pawn now, I would say. I guess Knight D2 is a move. Knight D2 is interesting because Knight D2, they take on C3, you go Queen C2. Then there's Queen G5, tricky move. Queen G5, and then you got to go like G3. Is she going to calculate that or is she just going to go Queen C2? I think she'll just go Queen C2. She really just should.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. Yeah, it's kind of crazy that such a like small detail would like complicated position so much already. But yeah, Queen C2, simply defending the pawn makes a lot of sense. And I guess just preparing the move Knight D2 because
D6.
I'm curious to see how can Black counter this. Yeah, I guess D6 is a
D6,
logical
Knight
move.
D7, right? She's got to develop that knight. I think that's the typical way it comes out. Although when you go D6, you have to prepare for D5, but I don't think it works in this position just yet. But yeah, I mean, that seems typical to me. And I think Black is doing fine. They're in a pretty normal structure for the Nimzo here.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, here's the thing, like White has a pair of bishops and you can say like that's really awesome, but where can we actually like see the strength of this bishop pair? Because you have the doubled pawn structure over here and the position is relatively close. So we've yet to see if White is able to like, you know, create some chances for themselves. But I would really like rather take the Black pieces just because of the fact that Black does have quite some space. Typically, like the position is pretty close for them, like with the pawn D5, the bishop on B7 is not doing much. But I feel like there's more potential in Black's position.
You know what's interesting? J-Man says, in my humble opinion, women's commentary isn't as hype as their male counterparts. You know, I have to agree with you there. It's something I've noticed as well, right? I mean, I do like the commentary style that is like super excited, you know, like kind of very like high tones like that. And it's true, I can't quite do it like that. I can't just be screaming the whole time, you know, that's just not me. So, but yeah, I see what you're saying. And I do like that style of commentary as well.
I mean, I think it's just like based on the person, you know, I don't know if it has to do so much with gender as much, because I'm pretty sure there's like a lot of commentators that are also male but not as hype and exciting. So I think that's just
but if you think about like let's say the female commentators in chess, I definitely like haven't seen that style at all, right? So I do kind of wonder if it's just less, you know, women are less likely to, you know, be able to you know, sustain that kind of style or just be comfortable in that, and they're more, you know, comfortable with like conversational, like, you know, conversational style, like nice tempo, but like, you know, definitely like, you know, it's hard to do like the James Canty style, for example, right? I mean,
no, I mean, honestly, I think you're like a pretty like hype commentator. I mean, like, okay, we're not screaming or anything, but there's no need to do that, right?
I don't know. I think the guys might want us to show more excitement, you know? Maybe we can try.
Well, I'm sorry, we're not so excited. Yeah, there will always be like opinions, but I think it's very invalid to call it like a gender thing, because I mean, just because like there's a few commentators that are really hype and exciting, it doesn't mean that goes for the like the entire gender.
Yeah, well, we'll see. All right, let's get back now to this position. 3, 6, 7. Okay, so pawns are even. What can we say? Okay, very imbalanced pawn structure on the board at the moment. Black is a backwards pawn on E6. It's not really a big problem. White's bishop is not the finest specimen ever on D2. So I would say, yeah, it is fair to say that this position is balanced. You know, the bishop is not overpowering the knight, but, you know, White is not really in any danger either. So now I guess Queen D5 is going to be played. What is Humpy thinking about? 20. Okay, there we go. Queen D5.
Yeah, I mean, the time difference is not so big, but it worries me a little bit that Humpy's already down to 17 seconds
That was
now.
a good move, Rook D8, because I was wondering what she was going to do about that pin, but White's D pawn is pinned too. So now she's going to take on D4 next. Okay, nice move. I guess just take.
Yeah, and White is a really nice center, but if you play the move D5,
D6
because
maybe,
it makes sense, Knight C5 comes to mind, and I don't really like White's pawn structure as much anymore. Like this pawn A4 is not doing great there.
Yeah, I like Black's position in general, but of course her time situation is really precarious again. 25 seconds to 10. You know, but she's solid, and her rook lift was awesome. Look at that rook lift. I mean, now her rook is attacking C3. It's going to go to C4. White's rooks haven't been activated at all. So Black is about to take over here. Beautiful play by that rook.
Absolutely, really nice maneuvering. And now the knight goes to F6, and now the pawn E4 becomes a big target.
She's got to show those claws again, because, you know, now they're down to the same amount of time. She's definitely better pick up that pawn. Okay, knight D7 or rook E5. Okay,
ooh,
knight E5. Black is still good. Yeah, still better. Just okay. That's an annoying fork. Rook A2. Rook A2. Pin them.
Okay, yeah. The rook B1 is, I mean,
now she's totally pinned. Totally pinned. Just take on B6.
Yeah,
You're completely winning.
A4.
B5, nice. Bring up those pawns. Just knight takes B2, extra piece. Just go B4. You're gonna win. There you go. A4, extra piece. Okay. And Humpy should really take this game. Yeah, it's very simple now. Anyone can do it. And just put the rook on B5. Get those pawns going. Humpy, what are you thinking about? Okay, no, Humpy's not really thinking. It was Nana. I think hard to keep track. I mean, don't get mated, because G4 was almost, King H5 was almost a checkmate there. So the king had to go back. I don't really like the way she's played it, but like she's still completely winning. Okay.
Oh wow, I'm surprised. Yeah. H6, just H. Okay, well,
yeah, it's fine. I mean, the technique hasn't been great, but like, you know, she's still completely winning. Yeah. Okay.
As long as she doesn't flag, we're like happy, you know.
Yeah.
And that is a win. And the score is 8-7 now. So Humpy with winning. Wait, did she win 3 games in a row?
Well, it was 7-4. Right. So how she won? I don't think it was ever 8-4, right? So it wasn't like in a row, but you know,
she won 2 games in a row, right?
Yeah,
okay, got it.
A couple. Well, that was good. I really liked her rook lift in that game, and I would show it to you again in slow motion, guys. But then someone's going to complain that I'm on an old game, so let's just not do that. But that was a really cool rook lift. Rook F6 to C6 to C4 to A4, like really nice work with the rook. And Humpy just did a good job there. So yeah, and she pinned Nana. So 8-7, we're back within 1 point range, and within like sort of the statistics that we're by. What is it? What is it called? The statistics company, Anamaya. It reminds me.
The statistics. Oh, Smarter Chess.
Smarter Chess. There you go. Smarter Chess. Yeah, Smarter Chess by chessgoals.com. That is right. So they told us that it was going to be close, that Anana would win by 2 points this match. Will that happen or not? I don't know. Yeah,
so for the 3+1 portion, the predicted score was 5.5 to 4.5. And it could still happen. We don't have a lot of games left, but I have a feeling, okay, actually, this might be the last game of this portion. So I feel like Smarter Chess was predicting more games, but because they have they spend a lot of time with like very few moves compared to like normally. That's why they haven't been able to play so many games as Smarter Chess was predicting. So it's quite unusual.
Yeah. So Nana is playing the opening a bit unusually. I mean, because her knight is on C6 blocking the C pawn, so you would think that white has an advantage based on that. Yeah, that's a bit of a problem, right? I mean, on E5, what's going to happen on E5? Because we've seen that concept so many times in this match, like black going E5. I mean, I guess white's going to go D5. E4 now. Oh, knight E4. Okay. Interesting. E4 was also interesting. Knight e4, we want to go at some point knight c5. What to do now, though? What to do? I mean, taking on d6 is not that poisonous. Black just takes with a c pawn, and I don't think it's that bad. She's going for bishop e4.
Bishop e4, yeah.
Okay. As long as she doesn't let the black pawn go to c5, right? So now knight a5 is going to happen. Trade. I'm not so sure that this is the most that, like, I don't really feel that all this trades is what white should have gone for. Because yes, the pawn is still on c7, but you know, every time you try to block it with queen c6, you get attacked. And I don't like that our bishop on c1 is still not developed. So overall, like, I'm not such a fan of the way Humpy handled this, but she's better on the clock.
Yeah, and I mean, I like Humpy's position in the sense that after bishop takes b7, knight takes b7, you get to play e4. But on the downside is that black could probably consider playing e5 to counter that after e4. So it's a bit unclear, perhaps. But yeah, if white manages to play move e4 and control the center like that, I feel like that would be amazing for white. But instead, she goes for queen e4, which is also interesting because this knight doesn't really have a good placement.
Yeah. So now all of this happened, right? So there was a trade, queen e4, knight a5. So the problem here is that black has pretty good control over the light squares, right? You can't go b4, allowing the knight into c4. Your bishop on c1. It's a lot of pawns on its own color. So I really feel like Humpy has played this in too simplistic a fashion, right? With all those trades. And you know, now, okay, I mean, maybe black's not threatening knight c4 just yet because you can go b3. But yeah, like, you can feel like this is way too passive, right? Like, if you're reduced to playing knight d2, not a good sign, not a good sign at all. You know, black can even go c5 here. I mean, c5, pawn takes, bishop takes, and there's no b4 because of queen a1, I think.
Right, yeah, the rook will be hanging, and I don't see a way that...
Is there a b4? Like, why does the engine bar say that this is, like, good? This is good for white, but what is, I mean, like, rook b1? No, this is something
this
wrong.
Knight on a5 is like...
Maybe that you're going to go b4 one day.
It's almost trapped,
wow, yeah. You're going to go b4 and, like, win a pawn? That's incredible. That, I have to tell you, that feels a little lucky for white.
Yeah. And this time Humpy is also ahead on the clock. Not by a lot, but I feel like this is already like pretty huge for Humpy. So let's see how Nana deals with this. Okay, she is sacrificing a pawn, which makes sense because the knight was about to get trapped perhaps, and b4 was a threat on the spot, but it looks like Humpy is simply ahead.
Yeah. Wow.
Like very healthy pawn here on b2 that can soon push to b4 and
go b4. Yeah. I wonder,
let's
b4,
go.
I think you should just go and b4, bishop b2. I mean, I suppose there's something to be said about not trading the pawns, but I just think you got to push it. Just go b4, then go bishop b2, b5. I mean, you don't really want to let black's pawn get to a4. So she's thinking a little too long. Yeah, b4 is a very simple move.
Yeah, we need those moves faster. So yeah, now the idea is to play bishop b2, obviously, and yeah, simply convert this really amazing position. Okay, queen trade. I would take that.
You kind of have to, because you just don't really have much of a choice. You don't necessarily want to, but you have to. And one thing that she can do at some point is play bishop d4, trade the bishops, go into some sort of a rook end game. Like maybe trade the rooks here and go bishop d4. Okay, king f1 is good. It's good technique. Make your king better. Why not? King
b5. Oh, b5. Not a good arrow. That's not how the bishop moves.
Yeah. E2, I guess. G4 is interesting. Rook c6. Okay.
Yeah, rook c6 makes sense, but how do you continue from here? I guess you just push the pawn.
Yeah, b5, rook a5, and okay, put the bishop on d6. Okay. C5, maybe. I don't know. I would have put it on d4. All right. So Nana has less time. No, wait, who has less time? Yeah, Nana does, right?
Yeah, I mean,
bishop
not by a lot,
d4,
obviously.
Probably. Okay.
Nana is on
King
4
E2,
seconds.
and now, ooh, what to do? Oh man. Oh no.
Oh,
The game is just gonna come down and be a draw. Wow.
Oh,
Humpy lost that
wow.
pawn. That's crazy.
how was she
How would-
able to defend that pawn?
I think
Was
maybe
there-
Rook C7, and we would have had to look at a king
Maybe.
and pawn endgame. Like maybe she was gonna win that king and pawn endgame. We could
Yeah,
take a look at that
probably.
afterwards. But right now, it looks like it's gonna be a draw. I mean, Humpy's
Mhm.
not winning, that's for sure. So they should just agree to a draw. Like, well, I don't know. Someone can still blunder their rook, but it's not very likely. King G8.
Yeah, this looks like a very simple draw, and there's not much you have to do
Yeah.
here. Okay, I guess like trading. I don't even know if that's so bad. I guess it's bad because like, why would you give your opponent a pass pawn like
Yeah.
that? But yeah, this is
Sad
just a
for
simple
white.
draw.
It's sad for white. It would have been even better if she could equalize it. I mean, I don't think it's a tragedy, 1 point difference going into
Mhm.
bullet, but like she really could have equalized it right here. It would have been very logical. They're playing it like as it's bullet already, right? They're just like moving their pieces around, and I guess she still wants to win, huh, Humpy? She's like she's not taking that draw, but
She's not, and Nana is just going back and forth,
wow,
with the
Rook
moves.
G7, King F5. Okay, it's not even progress. Yeah.
Wow, she's not going for that draw.
Yeah, but okay. This is
Maybe she's okay. It looks like she's now. No, she's not. She's not accepting the repetition whatsoever.
that's pretty funny.
Maybe she can get some h5 in, but the more pawns you trade off, the easier it becomes to like equalize it. Draw it. I mean, it's already in equal position.
By the way, guys, I think one thing that I have coming up, you were asking me about the Olympiad. I mean, is White trying to lose? Okay, yeah, because I was
Okay,
like,
finally
starting
we
to
see
look a little
repetition.
dangerous. Can we go back?
Yeah, let's have a look real quick before we go to break. Let's have a look, because in this position it was that Rook
Right.
C2 was played and Engine was very unhappy about that. But perhaps there was some, oh, maybe you can play Rook C1 followed by Rook C7.
Yeah, that would have been good. Yeah. That's
After
it.
Rook takes B6, you go Rook C7, and if you're able to capture G7, then like the entire king side will just vanish at some point. So it looks like this was a continuation that should have been played instead. But I mean, with so little time on the clock, it's so difficult to decide on something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
A little sad for Humpy because, she knows she had that one in the bag, and this was not objectively that difficult for her. But we are moving into the bullet portion, guys, with just a minimal edge for Nana Dzagnidze by 1 point. So Humpy has definitely speeded up, and she's shown that she doesn't want to be left behind in this match. Will she be able to catch up to Nana in the bullet? We will see you on the other side.
we going to see a fork? I don't think so. I think the chances of a fork here are below 0.01%, but the fact... There is no way! There is no way! There is no way that that just happened. This is a formal apology to Evil Morty 23, National Master from the United States of America. This is a formal apology from your host on this channel. This should not have happened. Welcome back, everyone, to the 2022 FIDE Chess.com Women's Speed Chess Championship. Today's match, Nana Dzagnidze against Humpy Koneru, is beyond exciting. We are moving on to the bullet portion very soon. But first, let's have a look at the Smarter Chess statistics of this match because, well, the 3+1 score was predicted to be 5.5 to 4.5, which was pretty close. I think I'm not exactly sure what the end result was at the end, but it was 4.5 to 3.5. But it was that seems to be like a pretty reasonable score. And the 1+1 section is predicted to be 5.5 to 4.5. Do you think that will actually be the case, or is Smarter Chess really off? What do you think, Irina?
Well, I think actually for this match, Smarter Chess stats have really been on point. Nana did win the 3+1 by just a bare minimum of 1 point. They were even in the 5-1. Smarter Chess predicted that. They predicted Nana would win by a point. She did. Now they're predicting she wins the bullet by a point. Well, maybe they're going to get it right again, or maybe Humpy is just going to keep getting better as we go along. Definitely, she should just like not think at all and just play on instinct here.
Right, and you know what I love seeing, Irina? The players are playing really fast right now. We're already in the bullet portion, so 1+1 time control, and that lasts for 30 minutes. So we're expecting a lot of games here. And what I love seeing is that the players are really playing fast. And if only they had this pace earlier in the match, it would have been so different.
So they had like, they're in a kind of position that we've seen before in this match. Is Black going to go C5 now? I would just do it. I mean, why not? You can play Rook C8 if you want. Sure, Knight E4 is a move as well. So Humpy right now, they're even on time, 46 seconds. Nana is in a little bit of a think. She needs to, I think, you don't really want to think for like 5 seconds in bullet very much, do you?
No, I guess like with 1+1, it's a bit different because even if you're like low on the clock, you can still like fight your way through it somehow, and like the difference will never be so big. However, yeah, 5 seconds is indeed quite a lot for this time control regardless. So yeah,
I really like Humpy's play.
about
She played F5, gaining some space on the king side. Now she's going C5, gaining some space in the center. It's quite a typical way to place the pawns, and it is quite effective. I mean, you can see White's pieces are cramped. She's trying to undermine the E4 pawn, probably knight F6. I mean, you can obviously take on F3 if you want to play it safe. Those are probably my main recommendations. So she went for knight F6, simple. And again, you can't be perfect in bullet. So there's no need to even try.
Right. Yeah. It's most of the times like decided by mistakes of your opponent. So as long as you don't make like very crucial mistakes, you should be fine.
Bishop C5 here. Queen C7. Okay. You know what I think she should maybe try to do? Okay. That knight maneuver makes sense. E5 somewhere. Maybe
E5 makes sense. Okay. She goes for bishop C5 instead.
B takes. Nice. Nice capture towards the center. E5. Okay.
Now. Yeah, now is a good time. Yes. And maybe you can get some queen G3 in as well to attack the pawn on E3 and
F4.
Ooh, F4 I like that.
Initiative for black. Queen C3. Good move. Not allowing the pawn to move forward. White's got things under control.
Queen
now
D4?
White's a little... Okay, Queen D4 is a good square. King F2, and now they're balanced. It's really equal because no one can take the other side's queen.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. And Bishop G4, I like that move, attacking the knight on D7, and if you move that knight, the knight takes C5.
She's winning
and that's
a pawn
actually
now.
happening. Yeah.
Wow, Nana has managed to trick. Okay, trick her opponent. Okay, definitely totally winning for Nana now. Queen F4.
Even take on E4, yeah. Queen E5 check, King F3. Oh, but then, okay, Queen F4 is the right move.
Yeah, totally winning. Okay. All right, Nana is going to extend her lead to 2 points, but you know what? There is still a lot of bullet games left. So,
anything can still happen.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be a comeback here. Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, yeah, that pawn is promoting, isn't it?
Yeah, this game is over, and Humpy resigned, and Nana is now on a 2-point lead. But I mean, once again, anything can happen. We have a lot of games ahead of us, and I'm actually seeing. Do you see the time right, Irina?
Oh no! For some reason, it looks like they're playing 3 minutes.
3-1. Yeah.
Wow, it says 1. So we're in the 1-1, but their clock says 3-1. I wonder when they're going to notice that.
I think the game needs to be aborted because this is not correct.
Did Yifan play earlier against Yip? No, that match has been postponed, guys. It was supposed to happen earlier today, but there were some issues, and it will probably be next week. So I'm having trouble picturing Nana being funny. Every time I see her, she looks super serious. Well, chess players tend to look serious at the board. I mean, neither Nana nor Humpy look very amused today. But I guess this match got aborted, right? This game got aborted.
Yeah, the game got aborted. So the next game will be starting very shortly.
Yeah, I hope they're going to get their time back. I hope they get the time back that they should, because obviously it's helpful to Nana to kind of,
it seems like the match clock has been paused, so in that sense, it should be fine.
Yeah. Okay.
But this is a little bit unfortunate. But yeah, things like that happens, and as long as the game gets aborted and like the game is not like decided very quickly, it's fine.
Yeah. Well, that's right. Well, the Cairns Cup in St. Louis is definitely a good place to see the top players, and the last Cairns Cup was in 2020, right before the pandemic, and actually all 3 of us played in that. Humpy won that one. I remember sitting next to her at the closing dinner. Nana was there. What do I remember about that? I think I beat her in the last round, so I remember that, and I was there. So all 3 of us played in that tournament.
Oh, that's awesome. And by the way, we've seen streamers Najer and Lila Koriza in the chat. Shout out to them. Make sure to follow them and check them out, everyone. Really happy to see like streamers like watching those matches. And I see Lila also cheering for Nana as they are like fellow country players. So it's really awesome to see.
Yeah. All right. So here we are. They resumed that bullet game. Nana's a bit lower on time. They're in the same kind of position again as they've had like multiple times in this match. And Humpy taking her time here. I would just go, I don't know, D5, knight A5, bishop D3. Yeah, I think I would just go D5. I mean, I know D5, there's E4. That's actually the thing. There is that move that you got to calculate. So she goes for that. Okay, she's threatening knight G6, typical little threat.
I like on that, honestly. Clever.
I like that. Nice move. What to do for black? Knight G6 just blunders the exchange. There you go, Humpy. Your idea. Donna, you know, made a little move there, like a little shock. You know, yeah, she missed that. What that idea was about. So now Humpy has an extra exchange. Will she be able to convert with 20 seconds on the clock? What is she thinking about? Just any move will do, right? Like anything?
Yeah, I was going to say I'm a little bit concerned about the fact that we're on move 15 and they're only down to 20 seconds. I mean, they have been playing a bit faster.
Or F4. Yeah, F4 was not bad either. Like, okay, so she's trying to open the F file. I think that makes sense.
Yeah, this is winning E5. Oh, wait.
Queen F2 or something? Okay, yeah, that's a good move because now she can go E5. And E5, she should just be able to win pretty simply. I mean, it's kind of hard for black to come back from this one. Knight E4, or, you know, that one is strong. And, ooh, okay. So Humpy's pretty confidently converting this E6, and then knight C7. That was an idea, but she has different plans. That's fine. Doesn't have to do it the way I'm recommending. This is totally good. Queen H4, winning the piece. You're up a
full rook.
A rook, yeah, I think that
just
should be good.
Don't flag, and anything is fine. Just don't flag.
Yeah, so far her time situation is all right, and she's not really thinking too much. Rook F7,
and that's it.
And
Rook F6,
bishop H6, good move. I mean, she's still completely winning. I mean, she's up a rook. I'm a little concerned. I don't know, just a tiny bit, but I guess it should be fine. Black has like nothing to do either.
I mean, it's already comforting enough to see that Humpy is not going down like below 5 seconds. Like ever since they're in time trouble, like ever since she has like traded off everything, like she is playing really fast. So that's already really good. Bishop H6 now and just checkmate on the E rank.
Yeah. Well, now I'm definitely comforted by White's position and time. I think it's enough to checkmate. All right. We're back to within one.
Humpy.
Yes. All right. Knight H4. Tricky move by Humpy. Make those one move threats in bullet chess. That's the lesson.
Yeah, they're so valuable. And it's just so important to not make mistakes. Like just any move works as long as it's not like a huge blunder. And like you will see. I mean, obviously, like it's not comfortable to have a worse position from the opening, but you know, if you don't make mistakes, like huge mistakes, like your opponent is like bound to make those mistakes themselves. So, so important to like be as clean as possible in bullet.
So they've entered some line of the English opening, the like some kind of the double fianchetto symmetrical English. And this move D5, like all of that is not really, I think, the main theory. But you know, for a blitz game, for a bullet game, you know, anything goes, so it's fine. And I think Humpy's position, I don't see anything really wrong with this end game, and I certainly don't think it's easy to convert like in a bullet game. I mean, just trade. Oh, bishop F6. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Okay, it's a bit tricky. I guess Rook C1. Oh, Rook C1 here.
Yeah, and then maybe like knight B4, but at some point you have to wonder like how many moves you need to make before you actually just take on C3. But on knight D5, there's still bishop B2, and black gets the bishop pair. So I actually like what Humpy's doing. Keeping some complexity. You almost have knight C3 ideas, but you know, not.
I was gonna say, but unfortunately for Humpy, Rook takes D8 comes with a check. Otherwise, it would have been really interesting.
Yeah, Humpy's doing her best to kind of keep this alive. She has a little edge on the clock. I mean, it's not a lot to work with. Oh, wow. She's going to the A2 square to go to C3. That's pretty cool.
Oh, that's not how the knight moves.
Nice.
Knight C3, yeah. And yeah, there's a lot of threats in the position.
Yeah, Rook
like
C8 maybe.
A6 maybe too.
Yeah, Rook C8 here and threaten Knight E2. That's a good one. Rook BC8. And then threaten Knight E2. There you go. Now, is Dzagnidze going to notice that tactic? She's going to play King F1. Just watch. But then Bishop A6. Okay,
yeah,
so Black
so
has
how
an
do you actually
initiative.
deal with this? Okay, Knight D4. Okay, I like that. What do you do about E5? Knight F5?
Yep. Yep, but then, there was a capture. Okay. What happens now? Knight D5.
It actually makes sense, yeah.
I guess you kind of, or maybe Bishop D5, right? Is this move. And Rook C3, and okay, Black is fine. So white is probably also fine after going Rook D3. Bishop E4.
Yeah, Bishop E4 now to simply defend the pawn.
Yeah, white, I mean, Black has to be a little careful because of that isolated pawn, but I think their bishop will give them enough play. And now probably, yeah, bring the king. Good idea on the dark squares. Very nice play by Humpy. They're really low on time, playing very well for this amount of time.
Yeah, I mean, I would say practically speaking, if the knight was not a...
Rook E6, Rook E6, yeah. Don't go for king and pawn endgames that you can't calculate and where you have a more passive king. So good call there by Humpy, very practical. I like that. And this is going to end in a draw. But Humpy says no. She wants to play on. She's got a couple of extra seconds and she wants to keep this going. Wow. Now Humpy is showing a lot of fighting spirit. Good for her.
Yeah, and yeah, it's incredible to see how both players are like doing so well when they're low on the clock. And it makes you feel like, you know, they're capable of making, you know, like good moves when they're low on the clock, and like they don't blunder every other move, right? So yeah, it goes to show. Oh no, the clock! Oh no,
Humpy, look at that, Humpy. She is really trying to win this match. I mean, that I couldn't believe she played on there, but you know, she actually flagged Nana. That is surprising. 9.5. How suspenseful is this?
Wow, that is a huge bummer for Nana. She was ahead 1 point, and it was such a drawn position. But this clock, it's the worst thing ever.
Yeah, someone is saying, Snack Bandit is saying, isn't the English like the worst opening to play in 1-1? Definitely not. You're resigning to the fact there is no initiative. No, I don't think that's the case at all. I mean, I think the English is totally fine to play in Bullet. I mean, pretty much everything is fine to play in Bullet, right?
What is happening? What is going on? Knight B5. Knight B5. Oh, what a tactic! After Knight B5,
well, she might get another chance to do it. You know, she still got some initiative, right? Like Knight takes F3 or Queen takes F3. I mean, probably Knight takes, I guess. She should just kind of like, maybe she noticed it, but you know, it's normal to miss those kinds of tactics like in Bullet. It's not like, you know, a big oversight or something. She has some initiative because Black can't move that knight from B8 because of the A6 pawn.
Yeah, and I didn't really like White's position, but I can see chances for Black to come back from this, like develop the knight to D7, play knight C5. Oh, that's not the right maneuver. Knight to C5, and there's still some chances here for Black, that's for sure.
I can tell you White will play H3 right now. I was going to say even without Black having played H6, she was going to go there. Oh, surprisingly, she didn't. But I think that move needs to be played kind of soon. Like H3, really helpful. Definitely in Bullet. You got to get that.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, of course, Black is solid. There's not much going on here, but the initiative does belong to White, like somewhat, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and yeah, White is controlling the C file, but is that enough to gain an advantage here? Because there's not a lot of weaknesses in Black's position, and despite the fact that Black is quite passively placed with their pieces,
95.
I mean, it's hard to see how White can make use
of that tactic. She just found a cool tactic.
Knight takes C6.
Discovered attack. Now she's got the better pawn structure. She's got some initiative, like 95. 95. I think you kind of have to do that. Okay, she's very, very conservative with that move. G3. I wonder what that was about. I don't really know. Rook
Perhaps making
G4.
sure that there's no bishop d6.
Yeah. I mean, wow, this is not so simple though. This is not easy at all. Maybe at some point she will sack on G7 like the way she did in some other game. I don't know why Black gave away that pawn. Okay, just what is she doing? Rook A7. I don't really get when Nana is doing. Sometimes Nana goes a little like overboard. No, I have noticed that. But
I guess it was difficult to defend the pawn on G7.
Yeah.
Like
Rook
that.
A4, just go Rook A or Rook A6 or something. Rook A8, okay. She's not happy.
Before.
She's not happy with something. Knight D6. Just go Knight D6.
Okay.
What?
Yeah, that's it.
Who won? Who won this game?
Humpy won. Nana flagged.
Wow.
But it was a completely lost position.
Yeah.
Like there was no way that Nana could like fight for something there. So yeah, now Humpy is ahead. Who would have thought that after seeing how she was playing with the clock in the early stage of this match? Humpy is doing fantastic in Bullet. I mean, obviously, like both players they're surviving with seconds on the clock. And like sooner or later, one of them will flag or like a huge blunder will occur. But generally speaking, Humpy has been doing really well.
You know that this is the first time in the match that Humpy has taken the lead. I mean, it's taken her a few hours to finally get a 1-point lead, right? But I mean, she's a determined player. And like, you know, even though she really struggled with speed in the 5 minute, you see people who like to take their time to play like the best moves. They're often kind of surprise you in Bullet because you're expecting them to be super slow, right? But when they just stop calculating and rely on their chess understanding, they often can surprise you. And so Humpy has switched into that mode where she just, you know, I mean, I'm not saying she's not playing like at the speed of, you know, Hikaru Nakamura or like Gunina or something, but she definitely is playing an adequate speed in this Bullet.
Absolutely. And now b5 has been played, queen b3. And yeah, this is interesting to see because I feel like I kind of like Black's aggressiveness on the queen side, but those pawns are so vulnerable, and I have a hard time seeing how Black could easily like defend them because a move like a4 comes to mind in short term, like Rook b1 could be considered, maybe the other Rook.
Yeah, she's allowing a4 to happen, but I guess there was like b4. That's what she was counting on. I mean, that knight from a6 needs to move. A Humpy needs to improve that knight like right now because her position is just getting worse by the second.
Right, f4, yeah. White is just opening up the position as much as possible because bishop takes d4, I would say, is a nice move to consider. Oh, she goes pawn takes, okay.
Oh, tricky move. So knight f5, there's queen e4, nice. She's really trying to mess this up, Humpy. I would say nice try, but yeah, e5 now, I guess.
Queen e5? Oh.
I guess his pawns should be too strong. So she's just now like giving up a knight. Well, okay, now this is not going well for Humpy. And I expect Nana to win this. She's got more time, winning position. And it's going to be even again.
Yeah, there's very little counterplay. I mean, pretty much no counterplay for Black here. You could still try like to push some of the pawns on the queen side, but they're not going anywhere. The pieces are defending very well over here. The knight on d4 now, and
yeah, I mean they're kind of going somewhere like Rook d6 or something. Okay, queen. I don't know. Like I feel I still feel like this is pretty random. Like, okay, probably winning for White, of course, but it's like when they're down to seconds. Okay, Nana still has 16. So
okay, that's the checkmate, queen g7.
Yeah, I guess it's not that random.
Yeah, it was hard to defend the pawn h7, but other than that, it was still very tricky, surprisingly enough.
Yeah. You know, I see there's a discussion in our chat about whether an 800 player can play the Sicilian. And I'll just chime in on that, guys, because I think it is a very learnable opening for people who are starting out in chess. I actually kind of like it, because it gives you an asymmetric pawn structure and kind of more interesting games. So, and I feel like it's easier to learn as Black than as White, actually. So if you're a beginner chess player, yes, I definitely think you can invest a small amount of time, learn a few basic ideas, and just play the Sicilian. And most of your opponents who are also rated 800 or 1,000 are not going to know what to do against it either. So yeah, feel free. You got my blessing to start learning the Sicilian.
It's actually really recommended to like learn as many structures as possible. And I feel like the Sicilian is like one of those openings that like teaches you a lot from chess, you know, in general. Like if you go with openings like the London, like you have the same structure over and over again, and you need to learn as much as possible, like different pawn structures, different techniques, how to deal with the position. And the Sicilian teaches you a lot in that sense. And
Yeah.
like setting up such a like really open and exciting position can like give so many options to you and opportunities, and we all need to go through the process of learning how to play that. So yeah, it's really recommendable for beginners especially.
Yeah, so what do we got here? We got Humpy's down on the clock. They're tied in the match. Position is pretty even looking, kind of. Humpy got the bishop pair, queen e2. She's got to speed up. I don't know why she just walked into knight a5. I guess she has queen b6. You know, bishop e3 coming next. Yeah, I don't like that queen on b3. See, I was like, I'm not a fan of what's happening there, but bishop e3, you're gonna have to give up the bishop pair, maybe b4. Then knight b6. Yeah, no, I mean, white can't be really too ambitious here. She needs to kind of neutralize this, take that bishop, rook c1, and just kind of try to play for a draw, right? I mean, I think that's doable task for white, who definitely has no initiative here at all. Bishop c4, b5. Oops. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, the knight on c6 is protecting the queen. You can go b5.
What?
She doesn't do it. She doesn't do it. Incredible.
Oh, I was thinking like, I saw Nana's expression. I was like, oh, she's probably like thinking.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought she had it.
Like, but I guess she just got confused and just not expected that move to happen. Wow.
Yeah, well, right now, I mean, it's still even, right? Like queen and knight end game. Both queens are pretty active. It's final seconds. I mean, this is a really important game. Every single point matters a lot now with 8 minutes left in the match.
Absolutely.
They're still tied. Wow. Kumpy's king coming out. Okay, be careful with that king. They're still okay. H5. Oh, nice positional move.
Queen d7. The light squares are really weak around black's king.
Yeah. Give a check on c8 and go h5. It's just a good move. No, she wants to draw. Yeah, okay. She wants to draw because she has lower on the clock. That's fine. That's fine decision by her.
It's pretty surprising considering that in other games she was the one avoiding the repetition many times. So I did not expect her to actually go for the repetition this time, but clearly like she was not happy with the position, you know, like she was not seeing like much that she could do.
So what is my favorite opening as white or as black? Well, I definitely like the Sicilian for black. You know, as white, I don't know if I have a favorite opening because, you know, you play, let's say I play d4 and then it just depends on what my opponent plays, right? I'm not the one making the choice. You know, I mean, the King's Indian I find to be like an overall very interesting, rich opening. I've played it mostly on the white side, but a bit on the black side as well. So I definitely respect that opening, despite its sort of slightly dubious status in the chess hierarchy, chess openings hierarchy.
Mm-hmm.
And we got 7 minutes left. These two players are tied, and this match is like everything that, you know, it promised to be, like a really, really close match.
Absolutely. And now we see, again, it surprises me so much to see like these type of structures so often, as in like black having more mobility than usually in these type of openings. But yeah, okay, with this opening did start off a bit differently than like Queen's Gambit. So I guess that makes sense, and that explains a lot. But yeah, what happened there? There was a trade, and now Nana is up a pawn.
Yeah, she's up a pawn. Black does have the bishop here. She needs to make sure her rook doesn't somehow get trapped on c3. Like, I was a little concerned about bishop c4, but I think right now everything is looking all right as long as her rook can't get trapped. There's a ton of activity, like rook c2. I mean, you know, queen c7 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Rook c7. Okay, I mean, it's not the most active move, obviously, but it's playable. Okay, so she loses her bishop here. Well, that's unfortunate. Okay, so white is definitely better, but there's still bishops of opposite color.
Yeah, one of the few you know, like the ups of black, like where the compensation was the pair of bishops, and now the pair of bishops is gone. Like, it's very hard to see where you can like get counterplay from.
Knight c3. Yeah, well, the counterplay is kind of from the overall pretty decent black pieces, although there's knight c6. Yeah, bishop f6. Black is still alive, h6 now, or g6. I wonder which one she'll pick. Maybe g6. Rook c1, of course, will be played right here. Or rook c1, there was actually rook c6. Okay, bishop takes d4. Do you want to give up that bishop or not? So
knight is a monster on. Well, okay, well, it was a monster on c6, but if you cannot really put the knight there anymore.
She's playing actively. Humpy is doing well. I really like that she has developed a lot of initiative. G6, great move. Wow. Wow, nice stuff there by Humpy. Her piece is king g7. Okay, queen a6.
Ooh, tricky move, knight e2 check if the pawn is being captured.
Queen a3, queen d3. She wants to promote her d pawn.
Nice.
I mean, they have no time, but Humpy has played this part so well. 92 wins the queen. 92.
Okay, it still works because the knight is under attack.
Still winning. Oh, she's gonna lose on time. Oh wow!
Wow, what an ending!
Crazy.
What a play by Humpy.
Humpy played so nicely. Like queen a6 was a great move. E5, e4. I mean, that was really good stuff. That was nicely aggressive.
Nana really needs to step up now, as there's only 4 minutes left on the match clock. Like. If Humpy wins this game, it's already really concerning for Nana. So let's see if she can level up the score once again.
Now it's our turn to root for Nana, because, you know, I want this match to go to a tiebreak. So I don't want the players to be done with it in just a couple of games. I think
we want to enjoy it more.
Yeah, this match deserves a tiebreak. So let's hope that Nana can pull that off, and we can see that. That would be so awesome.
Absolutely. So now we see, okay, I'm not sure if we've been in the same position as like.
Not yet. We haven't really seen too many isolated pawn positions in their games at all. And Humpy looks like she's just having a great position here. So I'm not in love with what Nana has like gotten herself out of the opening. This looks pretty miserable and very much in Humpy style. I mean, this is not what you want when you're trying to win. This is like the exact opposite. This is terrible.
Yeah, I mean, the knight on f5 is so strong, and it's really difficult to see, like, how can you kick the knight out of there? Because if you play g6, you allow this bishop to become even stronger on the diagonal. So black needs to be really careful here. And typically when you have an isolated pawn, you want to start an attack on the opponent's king. But one, I'm not seeing any sort of attack for black here. And two, white is the one that is attacking on the opponent's king. So this is overall a very concerning position for Nana.
Yeah, it is. And finally, she goes down, you know, after playing fast from the opening. Now she kind of starts to go down a bit on the clock just because it's so difficult to navigate her position. And it's so easy for Humpy to play. Like, you really don't want to give Humpy these kinds of positions where she gets to go, like, I don't know, queen c7 and just she's all over you over there, right? I mean, that's one of the nice moves. I guess the only thing is, like, she's thinking now because she's got so many nice options. Maybe queen c3 is what she's going for. She's going for this one. Okay, I'm not exactly sure why she took the knight, but I mean, certainly really annoying for black.
Yeah, the bishops are just not able to function as you would love them to see. Queen e5
knight h6. Knight h6 is an idea, but on pawn takes queen g3, there's queen g5. What is she doing? What is that? What is that? Wow, there's no good way to defend. F6, and then rook c7. No, there's checkmate.
We saw the checkmate.
But queen d7. Oh, but she's gonna lose the bishop on d7 in the end.
Oh wait, there is a bishop hanging.
Yeah, she's gonna trade everything.
Just trade.
Rook c7. Yeah.
Rook c7. That's it.
Oh, that is sad. This means that Humpy is gonna take this match.
Wow,
I mean, this is really it.
Who would have thought that the match would be decided in bullet in favor of Humpy? Like, I mean, obviously no disrespect to both players, but Nana was doing so much better on the clock throughout the entire match, and in bullet it suddenly turned around 180 degrees.
Yeah, I guess there's a little bit of chances there on 5 seconds, but I mean, honestly, that B pawn that black has is not really going anywhere. And white's
Yeah, I
3
mean, Nana
pawns.
needs to win right now in order to have a chance to save the match, but that's not happening. It's not happening with only 1 pawn left and Rook.
Oh no, that's very sad. I feel quite bad for Nana for the match to end like this. I feel like, I mean, I can say that Humpy is very persistent, but now unfortunately they're two games away from each other. So we know Humpy has won the match. That's it. This last game doesn't really matter. She cannot be caught. If they would have drawn, it would have mattered. It would have been more suspenseful. Humpy's a very good fighter. That was the thing. I mean, at some points in this match, there were many points at which she was down 3 points. And to actually start the 3-minute and lose 3 games in a row and still win the match, I mean, wow, you really got to be impressed with that. That is not, we might be looking at the score now and being like, oh yeah, Humpy's winning. But we got to remember what situation she climbed out of. 3 points down, losing 3 in a row to start the second portion of the match. I mean, a lot of people would crack in that situation, but she just was so persistent. It kept it within 2 to 3 points. And then just got closer and closer and took over the bullet.
Yeah, this performance is really impressive, and Nana played so well at the same time as well. And it's really unfortunate to see that she goes down in bullet when she was doing so well throughout the match. A slightly better time management than Humpy, and was able to play a little bit better in the time travel situations, in the 5+1 and 3+1 portion of the match. But in 1+1, Humpy suddenly turned it around.
Yeah. I mean, it's like almost incredible how this has happened. So she has gotten 5.5 points in the bullet versus 2.5. I mean, that's a serious advantage. And she has just made up all the things that she kind of, she's unhappy about something. What is Humpy shaking her head about? I don't really know, but
I did not catch that one.
yeah, she was definitely unhappy about something. Yeah, I mean, but it's been a great match, and I really think that these two players are very closely matched, and that's what they gave us. They just gave us a very close match.
Absolutely, yeah. Maybe she shook her head, as in from exhaustion. You're so happy it's over, and you won the match, after
look at
fighting
that
for
tactic,
hours.
Look at that tactic. There's a back rank tactic going on.
Oh,
D1,
bishop
E3. She just won that bishop, and Humpy is finding some cool stuff with little time left. Yeah, you're seeing those skills come out.
You can just play bishop d4 on the next move, capturing the pawn b2, and the pawns are just falling one by one. Yeah, she just took that pawn and not even hesitating.
Is she trying to mate her opponent? Can there be a checkmate here?
Oh, but now he just takes
she just wins the knight. Oh, that's it. It's going to be 14-11. Humpy's still shaking her head about something. I mean, her position is pretty great. You'd think she'd be happy here.
Yeah. And that is the match, everybody. 14-11. Humpy Koneru wins this match. What an exciting match. It was crazy. It was everything we were hoping for, and they really treated us with this really exciting match. We will have Humpy for a quick interview, so we'll set everything up for the interview. So don't go anywhere, everyone. Make sure to stick around, because we will be back for the interview with the winner, Humpy Koneru. See you in a bit.
Hey guys, we're back with today's winner of the Women's Beach Chess Championship. Humpy Koneru won her match against Nana Dzagnidze, showed amazing fortitude coming back from being 3 points behind at several points in the match. Humpy, tell us how you did it.
Well, it was a neck-to-neck match. Most of the time, Nana was up with the 1 point in the whenever she had a white, she had a victory, and I used to come back with white pieces again. But when the 3 minutes 1 second segment started, I was down by 3 points. So it was like the comeback was very important and crucial for me. And everything worked out in the bullet games. I think I even enjoyed playing. It's just a fun. If I start analyzing, there would be plenty of mistakes. Yeah. It's also difficult to remember the games now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, congratulations once again, Humpy. It was a very exciting match and a very amazing performance. At the start, we were noticing that, you know, with the time management, there were slight problems here and there, but you managed to turn the match around in the bullet portion. Did you expect that? And how did you manage to do that?
Yeah, I know for sure Nana is quite a strong bleach player. We have played from engage, so it was a neck-to-neck match, as I said, and of course everybody has a chance to get to the next level, and I just did better in the bullet. That's it. Yeah.
Did you prepare for the bullet in any special way, or was just kind of?
No, I did not prepare anything special, but I was just trying to maintain the stamina because these are long matches. It's important to not to get, distracted towards the end or to lose energy. So that was the only thing I tried to cope up with.
Yeah, we really liked one of your final games when you won in the bullets with black pieces. You know, you pushed that pawn, e5, e4. You had that knight on c3. It was like, did you feel pretty satisfied with that effort?
Yeah, I was just playing whatever was natural to me. I did not care about the material, so it was important to be active in the position.
And what's next for you is that you will be playing for India in the Olympiad, right?
Yeah, of course, having a Olympiad in India is a great excitement for every one of us, and I do hope that all the foreign participants will also enjoy our hospitality.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to going there. You know, I've had 20 years.
I'm looking forward to cheering you on, guys, because it's an amazing event. I'm really happy for you that it's taking place in India. I'm seeing the preparations already, so I'm really looking forward to see the event from a distance. One more question from me, Humpy. In your next match, you'll be facing Katerina Lagno. Have you faced her before? What are your expectations for this match?
Well, we all played a lot of games in classical, rapid, and bleach in whatever major tournaments we ever play. They are the regular opponents we get a chance to meet. Of course, Lagno is also a world bleach champion many times, and I know she's quite a strong bleach player. Well, it's going to be a tough match for me as well.
Well, wishing you lots of good luck in advance for that match.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Humpy, on this well-fought match, and yeah, good luck in the rest of your matches.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
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 All right. Well, that was very exciting, and we're looking forward to, well, first of all, the Olympiad, but also the next matchup. That concludes this match, everyone. Our next match will be, I believe, it's Harika Dronavalli against Daisy Corey. So, I mean, obviously, like it's only based on the seed already. It's clear to see that Harika is the one that's the most favored one here, but I'm curious to see what Daisy's going to do here, because I know from experience that Daisy's a really good blitz and bullet player.
Yeah, I mean, Harika, she got to the finals of last year's Women's Beach Chess Championship, just losing by a little bit to Hao Yifan. I think that was certainly a very good result for her. And we will be seeing her in action tomorrow. We have Women's Beach Chess Championship matches every day for the remainder of the week. We also have Tan versus Shuvalova on Friday, July 8th. And, and then even then, we're not done with the top 16 matches. So yeah, this was an amazing match. I really applaud the effort of both these players. Tomorrow, guys, we also have the I Am Not a GM Speed Chess Championship. I don't know, is this the finals yet, or RO16 versus James Canty? Oh, wow. So super exciting. The finals of this great event. So that will be tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Pacific, 1:30 p.m. Eastern time. And yeah, everyone's favorite streamers, right? RO16 and James Canty.
It's a huge matchup, and honestly, like, especially seeing the performance of the two players, it's really hard to like point the favorite because both have been playing so well throughout the entire tournament. And yeah, like, it's really hard to point the favorite in this match. I think it can go anywhere. So yeah, make sure to tune in tomorrow because it's definitely going to be a very exciting match.
Yeah, I mean, James Canty, he beat Polina Shuvalova on the way to the finals. And I think I was a little, surprised by that result because she's just a very solid 2,500 rated player. So he definitely outperformed himself there. Clearly a very strong Blitz player, and it's going to be super exciting match. And we wanted to thank you guys for sticking with us for these past 3 hours. It's been a lot of fun. We hope you enjoyed the match between Humpy and Nana today, and we will see you tomorrow.
Thank you so much, everyone.